I gotta switch you out. I gotta be on the other side.
Okay.
There you are. I can't be on the other side. I don't know
why.
It feels weird. Hey,
All
guys. Chasity, I don't even think it was on.
No. Yeah, I still have to stream. I just streamed to my audience, so it should be live now.
Yeah.
Takes me a second once I log into the studio to do all that. Sorry, guys. How y'all doing? How's everybody feeling today? Let me guess. Is anybody's energy waning? Because mine is.
Flaming.
Waning. W-A-N-I-N-G.
Like tired?
Yep. Going down.
Yeah. My eyes just started hurting. I'm gonna have to take some D tonight or something. I noticed when my eyes start hurting, if I take D, I'm better, or A.
Right.
But yeah, my eyes just started hurting before he came on here.
Hello, everybody. Hey, Connie. Hey, my mystical journey. I'm hanging in there. Yeah, I'm in the waning phase because we're in the waning phase of the moon, and I've embarked on this lunar journey. It affects us it depends on who you are and your astrology and stuff, but anybody can align with lunar energies, and when you do, you get forced to rest because there's so many things that I wanted to do this week, and yesterday I took my first day off in like 3 or 4 weeks. I still worked a little bit, but not like I have been, but yesterday was my son's heart doctor appointment. So, I spent some time with him. Everything's so far good. So,
Yeah.
all is well. We still have one more step to do. They're going to put a box and he's going to have to wear it for 2 days just to check. But everything else checked out. So, yay.
Yay. Glad to hear that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited. Nothing's crazy wrong. And, it's just certain things we got to get checked out. And all the kids are up to date now. So that's all done. So in between this and filming, of course, we have to be mommies too. So,
yeah.
Yep. A lot of exciting news to share. I'll share a brief bit here, but first and foremost, just in case you're, huh?
I said, I'm glad you do.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's been a wild week.
We should talk about, or you should talk a little bit about the Mars and Aries thing going on right now.
Okay. Yeah, I can probably hit on that a little bit. Yeah. So basically, just in case you're new, which I know a lot of you are regulars, we super duper appreciate you. My name is Chasity, aka the Luminary Luna Beams, and
I'm the Psychic Sleuth.
Yep.
Rochelle. Not Rachel. Rochelle.
Yes, it's not Rachel. And I still, because I abbreviate her name in our notes as Rach. So one of the last times, even though I know her name's Rochelle, I still call her Rachel. But I swear everybody gets it wrong. And it's understandable. Like my name's Chasity with 1 T, which I'm used to charity. I'm used to chastity. But you know how I get people to remember? There's no titty in my name. It's Chasity.
I probably been saying it wrong too, because
it's okay. Even my mother-in-law from my previous marriage, bless her heart, and I was with this man for 14 years, and it's been 9 years this month or 9.5 years since we split up. She still calls me Chastity, and I married her son.
Yeah,
well, it's okay. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
So,
I got my bear. I don't know.
Rochelle.
I don't know how it works, but I know.
So what's been going on in your neck of the woods, dear?
Nothing. I've been trying to learn the forensic astrology. I think it's going pretty good. I think I'm picking it up pretty good. So I've been doing that. Just trying to get my schedule to lighten up so I can start putting more on YouTube. And dealing with haters. That's it. Not
sponsored, but if they want to sponsor me, they can. Okay, I eat there often. I give you a lot of my money. Cookout. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about all that. We know by the work that we do, we know it's going to happen, right? We know that eventually some person's going to come along and have their words, but it was a little intense. You
It's
stood
still
up for
going.
yourself. Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah,
you stood up
and
for yourself.
people you wouldn't think that would comment and watch him that are saying things, and it's like I can't believe this. Like, what happened to you? What happened to your vibration? Where are you going? You know? It's crazy. I can't even watch it. That's how negative and bad the vibration is. Like, that's how I
Yeah.
get, like, I can't watch people if they're like really negative or low like that. It just it gets to me too much, and plus it's about me, so I'll just, my blood pressure will go whoop,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'll start shaking, like I'll get ticked off. And I, me, I can't keep my mouth shut, so I just, but I contacted YouTube last night. I was like, I don't know how this channel is still up. Like, they bully everybody. They cuss. Like, if I would do that, I would have been taken down a long time ago. Like, I've seen that happen to a lot of people, and he's like, well, we just have to get to all of the reports, like, so it
Yeah.
takes time,
There's one thing about speaking your mind, because freedom of speech is a very real thing. But when you're accusing somebody, no matter what, you're accusing somebody to being a groomer. That's a little much. It's an accusation, rather. So
Well,
pretty
and that was
tough.
coming from somebody else besides them. So I don't know. My astrologist friend said that was suit worthy. So
Oh,
I'm
give me
thinking
one
about
second. I
doing
forgot
that.
to turn off my air conditioner. Can y'all hear that really bad?
I have my air conditioner on. I'm leaving it
Okay.
on.
Let me
I'll
know,
die.
because I've got a little fan here, but let me know if that's too loud and I'll turn it off, because it shouldn't cut on but every once in a while. Sometimes it'll go real loud, but if it does, y'all just let me know and I'll turn it off because it's comfortable. It's not, it got up to like almost 90 here today. Well, I'm sorry you're going through that, Rochelle.
Hey, it's not the first time, and I'm sure it won't be the last. It just was a
No.
little more aggressive this time.
Okay, good guys. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
it's just a little more aggressive this time. That's it.
Yeah.
But I'm used to it. It's not the first time. It's not the first time stuff that is untrue is being said.
Yeah. I get it. And, part of the work we do, it's already strange to some people, the work that we do. So, yeah, very, very interesting times. So me, a lot of things have changed. Slowed down a little bit this week, which I needed. I very much try to follow the lunar cycles. I went on my investigation. I think since the last time, I don't think I had been to Henry River Mills since the last time we came on here. I don't think. But I do have a video coming out. It's pretty much been almost completed, but I just have to like film some stuff to insert in it. It won't be any more than an hour and a half long because that's my editing max. So Spirit keeps telling me to do it on my super secret channel that when this information came along, it was a name and the name wasn't taken. And for the work and the places that I want to go, it will fit, right? And it fits for where I'm from. I'm not ready to release the name yet. But tonight I'm going to try to get everything going. And it might be Saturday before I get the video out because I'm not going to push myself today. I'm not going to work myself to death. So if it gets done today, it gets done. If it don't, it don't. I'm fine with that. But the video for Henry River Mills should be coming out. And I am about 80% sure I'm going to put it on my new channel. And you know what? F it. You know what it's called? I'm going to tell y'all. This is my public reveal. And it's nothing super crazy, but it's special to me. So the name that Spirit gave me for my paranormal work is Our Appalachian Nightmare. So that's going to be my second personal channel where I'm going to funnel in my paranormal stuff, because on my other personal channel, the Luminary Luna Beams, I probably still will talk about paranormal stuff there because it's a very big part of my life, but it's going to be more psychic work and astrology because that's what that channel is molding towards. So Our Appalachian Nightmare, it's already a channel, but it probably won't even pop up because it has nothing. I haven't even liked anything. I haven't done anything to it, but that's getting ready to change. And the reason that I decided to go ahead and launch the channel now, because I was worried about having content. I'm going to put out at least one investigation a month, and through October, I'm almost guaranteed that unless something happens. So what does that mean? Well, this month for my birthday, I plan on going to Trivet Clinic Center. And if anybody had seen the Lights at Midnight episode where we did Bobby Mackey's, Emily and I were trying to get to my client, and we were going to crowdfund to try to go to Bobby Mackey's too. But what has happened is we got Bobby Mackey's, and it worked with a group of people. Emily's still trying to make some arrangements. I don't know if she's going to be able to come, but the most important thing is I already have people are helping donate to help me get there, right? So the most important thing is Beth. I'm finally getting to go to her house and help clear, and I have my team with me, like the guys I met. I'm calling them my team now because maybe not as I'm not a part of their paranormal investigation team, but they're going to be a team with me that day to help clear her home. So it's been an ongoing thing. I'm not going to divulge into details, but I'm having people help donate to help me get a rental car because my car has 250,000 miles on it. I could, but I don't want to push it because if I get broke down in another state, that's detrimental to my family, and I can't get back here. That would wreck me, like financially. I can't do that. So I do have people that have said they would, and I think it's going to be about $450. I think for 2 or 3 days, and because there's a deposit, it might be 3. I've got to still check. But yeah, going to Bobby Mackey's June 11th. And that was the very last date that Bobby Mackey's was available for June. So, it just goes to show, like, when you shoot an arrow in the dark, and this is all about that energy Rochelle was talking about, the Mars in Aries and then Pluto in Aquarius, you have that action war. Mars is at home in Aries, so you're taking action towards transformation, and that is different for everybody based on your zodiac sign. So right now, the biggest thing to remember, guys, is your dreams can become possible, but it depends on how that manifests in your life. Like, Rochelle's dealing with haters, right? And that's action. That's taking the war side of Mars. Like, things are going, but unfortunately, there's a reason for everything. And I don't feel like this is going to stick around forever for you, girl. I don't. I think it's just going to further push you out into the algorithm, and you'll be able to get your story out. And everybody has different opinions and stuff, and that's fine. They're like buttholes, right? Everybody's got one. But that's kind of what this is about right now. And really think about, you have one thing I've learned, and Spirit woke me up an hour after I went to sleep last night and told me that you told me some things. And they've been doing that to help me with my class too that's coming up, like some final details on that, which has been very helpful. But one thing that I've learned is you can't shoot yourself in the foot before you get started on whatever it is you dream, because I never ever thought it would be possible that I would have people that have been so kind to help me achieve my goals, as I've helped people for the last 4 years and never asked for anything, never expected anything. And I've only asked for help one time, and people have been so very kind. And about to, I want to cry, but yeah, Beth really needs it. I'm not going to cry about it, but it's bad. So thank y'all. I'm getting my shit together. But it's been a really good week. It's overall very positive. I mean, if shit's coming, I'm stepping on it. I'm done. I'm not holding myself back for anything ever again. I mean, I'm not going to put myself in the way of, like, I can't do something. Everything I've ever set my mind to always comes in time. So those are my lessons for this week, and I'm excited. I'll stop there.
I think we had a talk about all this started for you. Remember when we have a talk about manifesting and changing your outlook? Me and you, we had that talk, and then it was like, I'm working on it. Then you did it, and then it's like, boom.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about your mindset.
I'm proud of you, because it's hard to shift your mindset when you're in a certain place, But you also have to take action with that mindset. You can't just, like, change your mindset and just be like, okay, everything's going to come to me.
Exactly.
Because my mom, she'll watch these readings, and a lot of the readings that I watch, the people I watch, like the tarot readings, like they vibe for me, they make sense for me. She's like, well, they lie to me all the time. Like, Mom, you have to take action with this stuff. Like, plus it's a general reading, it's for a lot of different people, but you can't just sit there and think like everything's gonna come to you. Like, you have to take action at the same time. You can manifest, but you still have to walk toward that way.
Yep. Exactly. That's about manifestation, is like, and dreaming big is okay. And a lot of people, like, once you start to dream big, you get in that mind frame that it's never possible. But don't say that, because you never know what's going to happen a month from now, a week from now. You never know who's going to step into your life. You have to literally reach. It's like reaching for the stars. And
once you start saying it can't happen, it won't happen, that stops everything. It literally puts a block. So you have to shift your mindset to that. A lot of people don't end up as earthbound spirits. 99% of the readings I do, they're on the other side. You get a choice.
Facts. And a lot of it, it's not even their whole spirit. It's sometimes it's fractals of a spirit. So you have so many different things in the paranormal world you deal with, just like you have angels and like different hierarchies of that, and spirit guides. It's all like that on the malevolent side, the dark side. So,
well, a lot of our soul is on the other side anyways.
Yep. Our higher self seated.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate it, guys. And if you want to help me get the rental car, all you have to do, and you just let me know. It doesn't have to be much. Like, don't just, $5 here, really $3 there. It doesn't matter.
Send her to Arizona too.
Yeah. Me and her want to do some filming. Yeah, and it's towards Beth. So that's the whole goal, is just to help me get a rental car to go to Beth's. But basically, if you want to, you can donate just through either my PayPal, my Cash App, or my Venmo, and it's all in my link tree, and it's in all of my stuff. And I'm going to put $100 in myself, so I'm putting my own money into it. I just can't afford to get the whole thing. So
there's a lot.
That's the problem.
You've been struggling with that for a long time. I think you met her through me. She came into one of my lives, and I sent her to you.
You did. And I was able to help her at first, but we found out some other things. It's not my story to share, but I've been trying to get to Kentucky for a year, and I've tried to do it on my own. And now that I'm there, I was like, well, while I'm there, let's see if we can shoot for Bobby Mackey's too. So, and that's actually going to be very cheap to go to Bobby Mackey's. So it's not like, it's going to be completely outrageous. It's going to be $100 or less per person. So I know I can swing that by, and you don't have to pay it all up front. You can pay it when you get there. So I know I can swing that. That's not what I'm asking help for. So, Beth, there's maybe, if she allows me, she's wanting to tell her story. And if she wants to tell her story, me and her are going to sit down and do it. But until then, I can't give but much more things out, except she's had a very severe haunting. Things get better for a while, but things come back, and we think we found the origin. And it's not just because Beth is sensitive. She is. It's more so outside influences. And I told her the very first time I ever talked to her, there's a chance you're going to have to move. Well, that's not easy for everybody. So this is like my last, it's not that I wouldn't help Beth anymore. That's not what I'm saying. But this is my last effort to go down here with Down South Supernatural, because they clear houses too. And we're going to put the whammy on this biatch. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to go in there light blazing. So.
I would love crazy week. I would love to, Sheila. One day I'd like to have like a retreat, like where subs can come and we can all, I don't know, go somewhere and like do spiritual stuff. That would be really cool.
I'm a event planner, right? I'm planning weddings and stuff still. Yeah. I've just got back into that. So that is my goal one day. So maybe we can do that. That would be awesome.
It would be really cool. Like, do like workshops and stuff, and then go paranormal hunting. Like, that would be cool.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But today, guys, I know that was a long story, and It's just been crazy. Like, I'm still processing it all. And like, I just found out this morning, like things happen so fast, like in the and I'm praying Emily can come. She's got some things to work out, but if not, Lights and Midnight, we're almost monetized too. So if, guys, we're only 200 subscribers away from being, a few hundred watch hours, because we had some drop off, but that's like one video for us, maybe even two videos if they do halfway decent. We're only 200 subscribers from being fully monetized, and we're going to start traveling. So life's changing quick. I'm grateful for every single person here, because by y'all just watching the content, that helps out a lot. And I know Rochelle, Rochelle completely understands, because when me and Rochelle met, you had like 2,500 subscribers, and like things just took off, and it's all about building community and, you know, projecting out. That's why me and Rochelle do this, is because there's people that have questions, and maybe our answers isn't everybody's truth. And this is spirit coming through. Our answers may not be everybody's truth, and maybe everybody's not able to relate to what our answers are, but it helps so many people, and I've been told that it's not an arrogant way of me saying this. This is feedback, because when you start this kind of work, you have no confidence in what you're doing. You think you're crazy.
I still don't. We're human. Of course, we're going to struggle with that.
Yeah.
I hear all the time, like, you need to have confidence. You need not question. It's like, it's not that easy, because it's like the thoughts. So you have to differentiate between thoughts and what you're getting. And sometimes our mind runs away. You know, that's the only thing, and then you're in a community where it's like, if you're wrong, you get bashed. Like, they don't remember all the times you're right. You get one thing wrong, but 98% right. It's like, holy crap, attack. It's not cool.
Yeah.
But people don't understand, and then being in the public eye, then you get stuff thrown at you. Like, it's tough. It's not easy. Then we deal with everybody's stuff. Like, not that we don't love to, but sometimes it takes a toll.
It does. But I know in my heart, the work that I do has a meaning. I did the work, and Rochelle, she really does give a lot of her time. Just like me, we give a lot of our time, and we don't expect anything in return, because we have lives, and I know, Rochelle, your kid's grown and stuff, and I still have kids at home. It's not easy, but we do it. And it's not like, this ain't like me saying, y'all be grateful. It's not that. I love doing this. This is my life's purpose. I love doing this for y'all. So
it's like an energy exchange, like, we don't expect anything, but we still have to live our lives and stuff. Like, that was one thing that the haters were saying, is that sometimes, like, I roll Cash App. When's the last time you guys see me roll Cash App? Like, if people want to donate, that's fine, because I especially, now that I'm going to start doing more cases and stuff, but you guys don't have to. Like, I try to work for everything I have. If I got to do a live and give readings to make the money to feed my animals, that's what I do. Like, I don't sit there and people said I like beg for cat food. Like, when have I done that? Like, you know what I mean? And it's an energy exchange. Like, we can't give all the time and then struggle, because how can we continue to give if we're struggling? You know what I mean? So it's like, there's an energy exchange in this kind of work. Just because you have gifts and God gave them to you, also gave them to you to take care of yourself. It's not like he expects you to just give all your energy away all the time for free and struggle through life. Like,
right.
You can't.
Right. You need
can't
furniture to sit on, and some people are blessed with the gift of woodworking.
And then you get people like, well, you need to get a real job. Well, this is a real job. This is a real job this day and age. Spiritual work is a real job. And we work just as hard as everybody else, if not harder sometimes, because, like, literally, like I said, hours and hours and hours of looking at maps, doing astrology, doing cases, doing cards. It's energy draining. Like, people don't understand. So no one works for free. No one gives their time up for free. And I like to see people go to any job and work for free. That's what I do constantly. I don't even like to charge for cases unless people want to donate. So this is a rant because someone said, oh yeah, she begs for cat food. Like, when have I ever done that? Like, I'll tell you guys what's going on and what I'm struggling with. I don't like force anybody to do anything.
Right. Right.
So,
it was very hard for me to ask for help.
It's hard. I don't like it. I feel bad all the time. So then I try to, like, put even more into it to try to, like, I always try to pay it forward. You know what I mean? Like, if I have it, I pay it forward. I've donated to one of my clients' tattoos because I knew it was going to make her feel better because she lost her son. And I saw her that she was going to lose her son. So that was something, I had the money and I did it. Like, I always try to pay it forward in one way or another. And that's what makes the world go round. That doesn't mean, like, give your last dime, even though I have it. That's not what it is. You know what I mean? It's like, if people want to, they do. If they don't, they don't. No one's like pressuring anybody, but it's just rich coming from people that like are bullying people and then asking for donations. It's like that call kettle.
Yeah, I got a lot of things I could say, but you know what? I'm not that type of person. I can be though.
I am. Yeah, right. You're sage and whatever. What is your saying?
Let's see. I can say this YouTube friendly. I'm love and light and everything nice, but I'm sage and hood and wish MFer would.
Yep.
I grew up on South Side. Yeah, I'm throwing gang signs now. Nah, but that is the person I used to be. And it's not hard to go back into that mindset. But I found even if I do, it's easier to come out of it because, I think when
But
you're
it's a
all younger, you
respect
handle
thing,
things
too.
differently.
Well, like we have to be respected too. We can't let people step all over us. Like, I not let enough people step all over me for 30 years, and in many relationships, and I just don't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think she's got merch with that on it, don't you?
No, I'm working on it though. I got I'm gonna try out your merch, people, Bonfire or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try them out and see because I'm gonna make some really cool stuff. And V, you're in the chat. You've been nominated. You said you'll make me a chair. Well, babe, I need merch, so you're gonna have to help me just a tidbit. I want some suggestions. He's an excellent artist. He's a jack of all trades. I guess kind of you could say it that way. Kind of like I'm a Jane of all trades. Like I can do some stuff, a lot of things fairly well. Some things pretty good, but if I put my mind to something, I can do it. And that's the mentality I'm trying to roll with, and I'm trying to seed into the community and stuff. It's like, we're going to have ups and downs and everything, but at the end of the day, it all works out. As long I have like these lists these rules I try to live by for myself, and they're very simple. And one of them is giving without expectation. And one of them is, releasing what no longer serves you, stuff like that. There's multiple ones, but it's important.
Well, there is Bonfire is good because they ship it for you. You don't have to pay anything. You can set your own prices. Like, I don't even make much off my merch because I want to keep my prices low. Like, I only make like $2 off of like each thing because I'm trying to keep it low. But I am trying to get, like, I have a management company now, and I've got to do my merch. I've got to do my media thing. And it's just like, I was trying to let everything kind of settle down first. But, so I have to do that with them too. And I'm like, I haven't made the time to do it. But yeah, I just made a FFS shirt, FFS mug and FFS shirt.
Yeah. So, I don't know if I can turn it off.
Because that's my favorite words these days. For fudge sakes.
Yeah. That's perfect, man.
Where's perfect. Can you post your Cash App or something? I guess people are wanting to donate.
Yeah, I'm going to send you guys my Luminary Luna Beams link for Linktree, and it's got all 3 of them there. Let me see. Just give me one moment. It should be right here somewhere.
And I have a link tree for my book. My book is there. My merchandise is there. All my link tree, it's in the description box. So it's not just those things. It's all my links. If you want to join the Psychic Sleuth group and all of that, all the links are in my link tree. Not really.
So that link. Yeah, Linktree is awesome. And if you have a small business or you do socials, get you a Linktree if you don't have one. So the link there, I don't know if it'll show up on Rochelle's side as blue, but it should be highlighted in blue, and it has Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Again, I'm not too far away from my goal, so don't hurt yourselves if you want to. If you don't want to, there's no hard feelings. Like, one way or another, I'm going to get there. I feel it, I see it, and any support helps, no obligation. And again, I don't ask for things like this often. I'm really hard at asking for help. But this time, there's a person that I've been trying to get to for a year, and I don't even need extra. I just need enough to get the car to get there. And fortunately, I'm old enough. I got a clean driving record. I got insurance, and I got a driver's license, so I can get a car no problem. It's just the paper part of it. So thank you guys. And everybody that has donated, thank you
Uh-oh,
much. So we
you got
appreciate it. We
we
really
lost
do.
you for a second.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just the internet went out because I'm connected to my house. But I noticed it did that earlier too. Wonder if we're having solar flares. But I was saying thank you to everybody that has donated. And if I see some messages coming through, I'll check them just after the live. So thank y'all so
I was
much.
gonna
Much
say,
love. I
like,
can't make a heart still. My hearts really suck. How do you make a heart?
instead of doing a I was gonna say, like, depending on how much you get, couldn't you do like a down payment on something or find something on so you can actually have a car out of it?
Yeah, eventually I think I'll be able to take care of that later this year. That's a manifestation goal. But this is to rent a car, y'all. I've got a car, it's just really old and we can't run the risk of going up mountains at 80 miles an hour because when we get on a certain highway going out to where she's at, we're like a mile high. There's no guardrails and this car, if we break down and like that's our livelihood. If we lose this car, it breaks down or something bad happens to it, that's our livelihood gone. We have no other option because
I
everywhere I
know.
live, like you, we have to drive. So eventually, I think I'll be able to take care of that. And through the work and stuff, I see it coming. It's just going to take me some time. But right now, I haven't had a car since 2017. I think I told this story. I don't really like talking about it, and I can't really talk about it too much because I've got a very small portion of the money back for that car from the company where it burst into flames, but I had to fight for 5 years. So I haven't had my own car. I always bought my own vehicles, paid them off and everything. It kind of ruined my life in 2017 when it burnt to the ground. So, but fortunately, we had family that could donate us a vehicle. They were very nice. They was one, they had already bought another one. So that's what the car we still have. And we're very grateful for that. It's just coming to the end of its life. You know, it's a very good car, but we know one day it's going to go. So we just don't want to take it all the way up the mountain because mountains are heck on cars. So, but
I
yeah,
know. I
guys,
was just thinking about getting something like instead of paying all that money for a rent a car and not having anything out of it, you know? That's what I
yeah.
was thinking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just depends if
If you
that
could find
happens.
something, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately too, I can't even like at this point, whatever I buy would have to be in cash, which is fine. Um, I believe in riding the wave, like it would have to be in cash and cars these days out here. I don't know what it is. This is just talking. I don't know what it is in y'all's area, but like a nice used vehicle that used to be a couple $1,000s is try about 5 or 6 now. So that's wild. So there'll be time. It's coming, you know. So whatever money is donated, if I reach my goal, I don't know what I'll do. I'll put it back into use somehow with traveling, period. Whatever money's donated, if I reach my goal, or if I get close to it, I'll let everybody know it's been reached because I don't want people to keep donating to this situation. And no, because I'm not that type of person. Like, you know, so I'll say, hey, we've reached our goal. But if there's any extra or overages, I'll just put it towards traveling and producing content, period. Or traveling to help another family, and y'all can let me know what you want me to do. So I'm open.
Yeah, you can get good cars on Marketplace. I don't know. I sold mine for like 1,500.
Oh yeah, I'm
So
gonna look. I'll look
you can look, I
around.
mean, just make sure you get it checked out. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean? But I'm just thinking, I was thinking like long term, like if you're gonna spend 400 or something on a rent a car, you know,
yeah, for
just
sure.
something to
It's
think about.
coming. It's for
And
sure
sometimes
coming. That's part of it.
you can get cars like, you know, with bad credit. Like that's how I got mine. I mean, the interest rate is
Hmm.
high, but I can always fix it later on.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I get that,
refinance
girl.
it.
But yeah, guys, I guess we should tell them. I mean, it might be in the title. You probably saw it. But we're going to be talking about what opening your third eye really means. Because everybody's like, I want to open my third eye. I want to open my third eye. And maybe not you guys in the chat. And I'm not trying to be mocky or anything. I'm just trying to be funny, right? So, opening your third eye comes with a bunch of different things. It's not all about seeing spirit. Okay. Even though that term is a term. So, yes, we're opening our third eye, but it's not always about viewing spirit. So, with that being said, Rochelle and I, we don't have a huge, like a bunch of content today to talk about. Excuse me. This is going to be more like talking about things like we have. We're going to go through it. And then, of course, we open up for questions. So, what does the opening your third eye really mean? We got what to kind of expect, the difference between ESP and psychic abilities, and then the 4 clairs. And when we get into the clairs, we're just going to kind of cover, I know we've talked about some of this, but the reason that we kind of condense it all into one video is just in case somebody comes along that's never seen our content before and wants to check out, hey, what's it all about opening my third eye? Well, we're getting ready to let you guys know. Oh, she's on mute. I saw
Are
it
you
now.
done
I thought.
already? No, it says you have like open your third eye, what to expect, the difference between ESP and the 4 clairs. That says you.
Oh, yeah, that's the introduction. So we got to go down, read down.
We didn't go over that though.
No, just
I
trust
see it.
me.
I'm dumb. Okay.
Yeah, I
Freaking.
did the introduction. I make little show notes.
Yeah.
They're
And I'm
very
like,
simple today.
that's because she has to make the show notes or I'll go off on tangents.
I just do that for almost everything. Sometimes,
Like,
like with my lives and stuff, I fly, but I like having show notes, so it keeps me on track too. Because if me and Rochelle sat here like the last time for 2 hours, we'll just blah, 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 blah.
well, the thing is like, like what to expect. Like, I don't
It's a
really know. I mean,
discussion.
I know, but I didn't like study like this because I haven't really talked about this. Like what to expect, like visions, obviously.
We're gonna talk about it today. We're gonna
Yeah,
get her
visions. I
done.
mean, some people may see spirit depending on, how much you open it, what your third eye is, like how you're gifted to see them, because I don't see them
Right,
with my eye, but I see them like with this eye. So,
right.
um,
But first, we got to talk about what opening your third eye really means, Rochelle.
it says chastity next to that.
I know,
That's
just
your
trust me.
part.
I haven't talked about it yet.
Well, then go. You got me confused on your notes over here. It says,
Oh, Lord. So,
show begins. What does it mean to open your third eye? Chast. So I'm waiting for you to talk about that.
yes. So,
Okay.
what does it mean to open your third eye? Opening your third eye literally just means opening your perspective to spirit, right? So, when we open our perspective to spirit, that can come in many different ways. It literally means opening your energy up to perceive. We have 5 senses, normal, like 3D 5 senses. So basically, you're allowing that 6th sense to open up, but really it's more than 6 senses. It's feeling in the spirit, seeing in the spirit, knowing in the spirit, healing in the spirit, smelling in the spirit, tasting in the spirit, astral projection. There's just remote viewing is opening yourself up to the supernatural. So when we say, what does opening your third eye really mean, it just doesn't mean seeing spirits. And it's okay, because a lot of people think that. A lot of people think that, you're going to just start seeing things. You might see things with your eyes closed. For me, I would have these little flashes of insight, almost like daydreaming, and Rochelle hit on some stuff earlier that, is subtleties, the thoughts, discerning the difference between your thoughts. Well, we're going to get into the clairs and talk about that. A lot of you guys already know them, but again, just it's nice to go over things, because sometimes we have different things that come through because we're both connected with spirit. So basically, what does opening your third eye really means? It really means that you are allowing yourself to perceive energy in a spiritual way through your 6th sense, which is a vast, vast, vast thing. So now I'm done. You're on
He's like,
muties.
pick me
Oh,
up, pick me up.
yeah,
Sorry.
he's so cute.
Pick me up. Okay. He has this thing with face licking. Okay. So what to expect, like in general with just third eye or with all of our clairs?
Yeah. What happened, Rochelle, when you became psychic? I know we talked about it, but what did you expect when you started? Like
So,
how?
well, I was always like really visual. So that's how I knew I was like clairvoyant, because like you could talk to me about stuff and I would see it happen in my head. Like I could visualize things, and see things like in my mind. All right. So like if you're describing something to me, I could see it. So that's how I knew like I was really clairvoyant, because it like our clairs kind of, especially when it comes to that, kind of works with our imagination too, like how visual we are. Because I've had people that have said, oh, I do meditation and I can't see. I can't see with my third eye. Like I can't see things. I don't have the clairvoyance. Like I can't see whatever they're talking about. And it's probably because, for one, maybe they don't have the gift of clairvoyance yet, or for two, they haven't opened their third eye up yet. But when it comes to like opening up the clairs, they open up slowly. Like it was mostly hearing and seeing with me, and they kind of worked in unison. So it was like they'd open up, and then when I was ready for another one, when I've expanded, then the next one would open up. And you can always work on opening them up via meditations, or certain meditations you can do, and exercises and stuff that you can do to open them. But in like, I think, so between the hearing and the seeing, like that was what I worked with for a lot, for a long time. Then the claircognizance kind of opened up, where like I just knew stuff, but I don't know how I know it. That's what claircognizance is. And then the clairsentient isn't like my strongest thing, or I don't recognize certain feelings. Like on a map, I feel pulled one way, but I don't know why. But yeah, I still have it, because as a medical medium, I have to feel things. I feel things about other people, and clairsentient kind of rides the line with empath. Like if you can feel other people's emotions and feelings, it's like, I call it empath on steroids. But it's like they open up, kind of one or two at a time, and then it builds up from there on what you're supposed to, on what you're supposed to have, and the way you're supposed to work. And a lot of times we have to, we need all of those things to decipher things. But sometimes people just hear and they never gain those other clairs, or they're not
Yeah.
as strong. Like they'll have one like really strong clair, like mostly I work with hearing and seeing. Like that was my first two clairs. That's mostly what I work. I think actually I mostly work with all of them, but those are my two strongest. So we seem to have like the two strongest. And then like we have the others that kind of work in unison. It's kind of like an oiled machine, like, and I don't know why they're showing me that. Like an oiled machine, like, has all the parts to work together. And then spirit will work with you, like depending on what your gifts are. So they'll work with your strongest gifts, because they know more than we do. So, when you start opening up this stuff, it has a lot to do with our chakras, which we talked about last week. It works in unison. Our chakras work in unison with our clairs. And then, meditation and working on that stuff. That, like I said, there's exercises that you can do to work on that. But it's only going to get as strong as it's supposed to get, I think, because we're not all gifted the same way.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
I don't know
agree.
if that's right.
Yeah,
But
I mean, your perspective, what could we expect? Like, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the hell was happening to me. I thought I was like a death angel. I thought I didn't know what was going on. I watched paranormal shows, but I was having hauntings and all kinds of stuff. You really don't know what to expect. And, I didn't really have a mentor. I had to go searching for like people, I had a mentor for astrology, and then it's all about my own learning journey. It's things that I've learned along the way, or even my connection with spirit. So, I mean, yeah, what to expect when your third eye opens? You could be really, really sad. You can have like a super traumatic event that opens up your abilities, near death experiences, like all kinds of stuff can happen. And what to expect is to feel like you're crazy. You're going to feel a little
awakening.
crazy for a while.
I mean, I guess I didn't feel crazy because I asked for it.
Right.
I asked
True.
for it, and like I did have like spiritual stuff start happening to me, and like, I was told I didn't look for mentors. They kind of found me.
Yeah.
They kind of like found their way into my life. But mostly I kind of just learned myself. I watched shows, I watched other mediums, I watched like things about the other side, anything I could learn, I think that also helps open you up to like learning, like when you're learning about all this kind of stuff, because you can't just jump into it and not know how the other side works, not know how soul contracts work, not know how the everything works. You kind of have to learn about it and know about it, and then by learning about it, that also opens you up. Because I would read a lot, and then I got to the point I couldn't read because I got like ADHD with mine. So I think like when you start opening your gifts, like expect you to have like ADHD, because we work on a higher vibration, a faster vibration. And because
Yeah.
I'm an Aquarius too, like I have a fast thinking mind, but it didn't really like take off as fast thinking as much until I got like my ADHD, which came in with my gifts. So
Yeah.
in my 30s, I got ADHD.
Yeah.
So,
And that
because
can
we're at a
happen.
different vibration.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to feel things like if your heart chakra wasn't open and you just randomly end up having it open through your spiritual work, you may like break down and cry. And part of it is opening your chakras. Can you still be intuitive and not? And we talked about chakras, so you can go back and watch some of our episodes. But can some of your chakras be a little off balance and sometimes even closed down? Yeah. And you can still get intuitive information, right? Because your spirit, again, your spiritual chakras are here, your earth chakras are here, but the clarity of the information comes along with that in, intuitive flow, the flow. But not everybody's intuition looks the same. You have, people like she's saying that do medical mediumship, even though they probably could do something else with their mediumship. That's just what they're good at, and like I do intuitive astrology and spiritual guidance and the paranormal. I don't do relationship readings. Can I do them? Yes, but I will tell you the truth, and you may not like it. I might break up your marriage, and that wouldn't be good. I don't want to be that person because
I hate
I'm
them.
yeah, I'm
I hate them.
bound to, excuse me, I'm bound to tell the truth because if I start fibbing to people about, oh, no, he's not cheating on you, then I'm lying, and that lowers my vibration, and I'm not willing to do that for you and your old man and his or girlfriend. Okay? No. So anyways, yeah, and it's going to look different for everybody. Some people are highly empathic. Some people, and empathic, again, we're going to go over the clairs, but empathic isn't included. And I will go ahead and tell you what empathic means. Empathic means clear feeling of others' feelings. So that is empathy. And having empathy is part of being human. Some people lack it, but just feeling other people's feelings in itself is being empathic, meaning you're feeling everything. And generally, you have to be empathic for the most part. I mean, I would honestly say almost every time to be intuitive. There is a pathway that opens up. But again, your intuition probably has been with you your whole life. If you're ready to open your third eye, if anything, I would highly recommend researching and learning. Like if you're already doing that, if you're here, you're pretty much already doing that. Unless you're here for the entertainment and you just enjoy it that way, which is perfectly fine. But basically, yeah, y'all, it's crazy. It's a wild experience. And when you open your third eye, like it's so overwhelming and you might just get really stuck in it, right? So Rochelle asked for her gifts. I did not ask for my gifts. They just like smacked me in the face one day. But they happened around my Saturn return. So it's definitely very possible. It's very possible that, everybody's going to have a different path. We have our shadow work. What can you expect? A wild ride, a roller coaster, different emotions, meeting people. But the one thing that I would like to add, and this is the last thing I really have for about what to expect, is if you're really into this, expect to get overly into this, and do not think everything is paranormal or supernatural. It's not. Is it in a spectrum? Yes, we have a spiritual body. It is connected to our mind, body, and spirit. But the one thing that you can get carried away in is that imagination part. Just wait for your discernment to come in, because without discernment, it's very hard to tell the difference. Discernment is key. And I believe some of us are born with more discernment than others, but discernment is earned. It's not given.
Yeah, and a lot of people think they're empaths, but they're probably clairsentient, because empaths, they feel, but not as strongly as clairsentient does. So it's almost like I said, like clairsentient is more empath on on like steroids, you know. So if you're feeling everything, you also need to learn how to block some of that out.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's wild ride. Buckle up, you know, like what can you expect? A lot of craziness. You can expect intense dreams. You can expect feelings you've never felt before. You can have these like emotional releases. You're more sensitive. The colors can be brighter. I don't know, even more dreams. I think I already said that. There's a lot of things, and it's different and more specific. But when we get into the clairs, well, that'll make a little more sense as well. All
Yeah,
right.
so I mean, you can have a lot of stuff that happens and opens up, and you know, you'll be led in certain ways, led to certain people, led to certain things. You know, you just have to follow. It goes along with the spiritual journey and the spiritual path, and you can't, like, without kind of the chakras. Like I said, you have to watch our chakra thing and our meditation thing, because it all goes together. Like,
Yeah.
it all goes together when you're trying to learn into this and tap into this. So,
Yeah.
you know, and if you're over, you also have to know how to, like, block things out. Like, you can't let everything affect you all the time. You have to learn how to place that bubble around you, put the boundaries up. Boundaries are super important when it comes to people, when it comes to spiritual things. Like, you can't feel things all the time. You have to put boundaries up, have to put a bubble up. You have to learn how to block that out, because you'll walk around an emotional mess. And you don't want that. That's not, you know,
Yeah.
living life.
Very good point. And boundaries, yeah, setting boundaries. And you know, when you go through your third eye opening, like you can have a spiritual awakening without your third eye opening. It doesn't, just because you might not have like super duper psychic abilities. And I tell this to a lot of my clients, you know, you may not ever become a psychic reader if that's what you want, you know, and you have gifts, you can do it. You will use your intuition to guide yourself through life. And there's nothing more comforting than having a connection. You know, I don't know my spirit guides' names. I see a couple of them and what they look like, but I don't need to know their names. I don't need to know exactly what they look like. I just need to know that feeling. It's a
No.
feeling for me with them. Now, can I see and feel and describe everything else? Yes, but that's been one of the harder things for me. And some people get really stuck on that. And that's just not for me. Like it's truly not important. What is important is your vibration and your connection to the collective and a higher power, whatever that may look like for you. Um, I just wanted to briefly touch on for the third part of this before we move on to Claire's, unless you have anything else to add, Rochelle.
Well, like she says, I think a part of what people expect clairvoyance is experience visions, like in the Conjuring. It's not like that. Like, it's not as real as that. Like, and even the show Medium, I'm sure she had really, like, experiences, but I'm sure it wasn't as vivid as they made it on TV. Like, it's not that real. Like, I'll see it like movies or symbolisms or, you know, things like that. It's I see it blurry. Like, I don't see it clear. You know what I mean? Sometimes I see it clearer than others, but sometimes, like, it'll be blurry. Like, I'll try to see face and it'll be blurry. Other times I'll try to see face, it'll be clear. It just
Hmm.
depends. So it's not real. Like, some people might have a gift of clairvoyance where they can actually see spirit, like they look like humans. Like, I've seen people, like, have that ability. I don't have that ability, so it's not the same for everybody. And having that, like, craziness is, it's not the same. It's not like that for me. And honestly, like, people are like, well, you know, you can just tell them, people can come to you when like, spirits can come to you to, like, you know, for cases, and it doesn't work like that for me. Like, I have to, most of the time, like, I'll get random stuff sometimes. Most of the time I have to sit down and tap in. That's how I work, and I guess that's how my boundaries are.
Yeah.
Like, it's not what people think. I don't know if
Mm-mm.
that's because movies or whatever have kind of made it seem that way, but it might be that way for somebody, but it's not that way for everybody. Like, everybody's gifts work differently, and they're going to work to how they're supposed to work for you. And, like, you might be a really strong clairvoyant, but you might not be really strong clairaudient or whatever, you know, like that. You might have stronger clairs than others. And usually if you're a strong clairvoyant, usually if you're a clairvoyant, you'll have, like, really vivid dreams. You'll dream in color, stuff like that. Like, that's also a sign of clairvoyance. And some people will get, you know, their information through their dreams. I don't get a lot of information through my dreams. I do sometimes, and I have dreams that are impactful sometimes on cases, but it doesn't happen a lot. So, but then there's people that get precognitive dreams and stuff in their dreams, and that's how they work. You know, they
Right.
work more in a dream state, and where I work in a more waking state. So we all, like, use our clairs in the way we're supposed to, that aligns with us.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And
And
spirit
that
will use
goes
that.
exactly. And that really leads into like, what's the difference between extrasensory perceptions and psychic abilities? Nothing. They funnel into each other. So extrasensory perceptions literally are like your senses, like I was talking about before. It's pretty straightforward, the clairvoyancy. So spiritual smelling, spiritual tasting, spiritual hearing, spiritual knowing, like spiritual feeling in the body, feeling other people's emotions. And then you take the clairs, and the clair gonna uh-oh.
I lost you for a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it all went black for a second. But you have the 4 clairs. But there's more clairs. It's clairflatulence. That's what I call it, but it's not how you pronounce it. It's where clear smelling, flatulence. Clear smelling. Clairgustance is clear tasting. We're not going to talk about that today. We're just going to talk about the 4 major, and we've already thrown in empath, and we're getting ready to jump right into those. But those are your extrasensory perceptions. Through our extrasensory perceptions, we are able to perform psychic abilities. You have these very normal psychic abilities like remote viewing. Astral travel is I would consider it definitely a psychic ability, but again, it's linked to, like Rochelle was saying, like, sight and stuff, which we're getting ready to jump right into. But again, very simple. Your clairs are your extrasensory perceptions, and what you do with those clairs are classified as psychic or intuitive gifts or abilities. So with that being said, the only thing we've got left for you guys is just to kind of cover the clairs. And I thought it would be cool, Rochelle, like for just to kind of knock these out, because we kind of already talked about a lot of them, and just identify them. And then we can open up for questions and just hang out, keep it simple and easy, because, it's fun episode. Nothing too crazy like reading big scripts and stuff like that, like we have to.
Well,
I've done it.
Don't be sorry for asking stuff. I'm just we're just answering.
Yeah, we generally, if y'all have asked questions, what we do is we generally wait to the very end. That way we don't get sidetracked, so we get the information out, and then we get to you guys at the end.
Well, she said sorry for asking, but I was just answering the question, so I don't know.
Oh, I wasn't even paying attention.
About. No. And everybody has spirit guides. Everybody. Yeah. Even if they don't believe in them, they still have spirit guides. That's somebody that you made your contract with before you were born. Like, they decided to help you through this life, and you might have helped them through another life most of the time. Sometimes, rarely, it can be loved ones or twin flames, but most of the time it's people you've already made contracts with on the other side before you come here. Yeah. I mean, I think my spirit guides are like, what the hell, Rochelle? Like, half the time, I'm sure. And yeah, spirit out of the corner of your eye. That's part of clairvoyance. Yeah. I don't have that ability. So I can see them good, like in like pictures and stuff. But
yeah,
it's different for everyone. How I see and how I work is not going to be the same as everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, it works differently for everybody.
Right.
And everybody has different experiences with it.
Yeah. But and you can go really far into this, like when it comes to psychic abilities. Like, seeing spirits in pictures is something, like you said, not everybody can do. It took me a longer time. I can't see spirits in pictures, like, unless they're blatantly there, as much as I can. If it's a video or a live video, I see them much better. So, it just depends. Like, we're all different. And that literally leads us into the first clair, which would be claircognizant.
That's which like one? The knowing. Yeah.
The knowings.
That's like just knowing crap and not knowing how you know it. Like, a lot of my readings do that. Like, I won't even see anything or hear anything, but it's just coming to me naturally. It's really hard to explain, and it's taken a long time to, like, I don't know. I think I always just kind of knew stuff, but I also am an air sign, so I pluck stuff out of the air real easy.
Yep. Clear knowing related to thinking. Air.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then, it's interesting because, really they kind of tie in together. So clairaudience and claircognizance tie in together, because some people literally hear in the spirit, right? But that can be also, you can hear thoughts in your head that, this is where it gets like borderline, they're crazy. This is where people say we're crazy. We hear things in our head, we have to get that perception, because that's probably my strongest suit is claircognizance. I just know things. And sometimes it's random things like that girl wore blue socks yesterday. I just know it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just weird stuff. And like, I'll just know things. Sometimes it comes with being like prophetic too, like just knowing stuff. Like when, that comes with like auto writing, which is part of like a psychic ability, right? The auto writing comes from being claircognizant. Perfect example,
Did
and
it? I mean, I didn't know that, honestly, because I usually just see and hear stuff when I do it, but
yeah, but it all ties in together. So having the air in writing, because air is associated with writing.
That's why I'm a good
Because
writer.
air, Gemini, Mercury, writing. So it's very interesting because they're thoughts. We're seeing thoughts. And then as we're tuning in, because me and you, we're all encompassing psychics, meaning we kind of tag team off each, and everybody that will go to the certain level you can, right? But if you make it as far as like having all the clairs, that means you're supposed to do this work in some way, shape, or form. So it might not be your full-time job, but maybe that will manifest for you as an herb worker. If you have a lot of earth, you're going to work with herbs or people and bodies, but yeah, clairvoyancy ties into that. So the next one's clairvoyancy. Of course, everybody knows what that means. Clear seeing. That can be clear seeing with your eyeballs, clear seeing with your third eye, seeing images, seeing symbols, not just hearing the thoughts as in like your natural own thoughts, or even hearing them like as words, which can be tied into clairaudient, right? But you're seeing things. Sometimes they play like movies. So clairvoyancy is seeing things in the spirit that aren't there. They come in symbolism. That's the biggest thing about
Metaphoric.
clear seeing. Yeah. Unless you
Movies.
actually see it like a movie sometimes. Sometimes I
Yeah.
see it like that too. And I know, Rochelle, you probably have something you want to add to clairvoyancy for sure.
Well, we didn't talk about ESP and psychic abilities. You went over. You skipped that.
No, I did. I briefly touched it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not going through a list or nothing. I was
Okay.
just identifying the difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was the question again?
Oh, I don't know if you wanted to add
blank.
cat.
The air
Cat
just
balls.
happened. I just went blank.
Squirrel.
Cat
butt.
FFS.
I'm all off track now. Y'all need to tell us where we're at. I don't even fucking know. Oh, I don't even know.
All right. So Claire, what the heck?
Anything you wanted to add to clairvoyancy, like clear seeing, before we move into clairaudient?
It's kind of like the same. Like I said, like I see it in a bunch of different ways. It's however spirit wants to work with me, and it'll be in like how I relate to it. Like for instance, last night I was getting a guy and he was sitting in a chair reading. I took it as a book because I relate books to reading, so that's how it was shown to me. And she was like, "Well, he used to read magazines." Okay, just because I didn't see magazines doesn't mean it doesn't relate. It's still reading, like spirit will show you. Come on, Neil. Spirit will show you like how you reference things. They'll show it to you in a way that you reference it. You know what I mean? So it's not always like gonna be literal in the way that you see things, and you have to understand that. Like sometimes it's symbolism for how you relate to it, or metaphoric. It's not always literal, so you kind of have to put that together too. And so I'm kind of learning to just say what I see, because it might mean something different than what I perceive it to mean. So there's perception again, like how we perceive things. Like we can misperceive it. But it's always kind of like sometimes with clairvoyance, like for instance, when I tap in and I try to do mediumship, and I'm not using a picture, like sometimes they'll show themselves to me. I'll see them blurry. I won't see them necessarily clear. Sometimes I'll see like certain things, like their hair, or just but it's like they're far away and they're kind of blurry. Like that's how I see them. Sometimes I see them clear. It just depends. But that's how I see spirit. I don't see spirit like walking around, and the way I feel spirit when I'm connecting, I can feel their pain and their passings and ailments and symptoms, but I don't necessarily like feel them here. Like I couldn't tell you if there's a spirit standing next to me. You know what I mean? Like that's not how it works for me, but that's how it works for some other people. But going back to the clairvoyance, like it's going to work different for everybody. You might have like different clips. Like for instance, sometimes people will hear 7 instead of seeing 7. I do both. It depends on how spirit wants to show it to me. They'll show me a number 7, or they'll say it, or they'll show me like I have certain symbolisms for certain things. So when you're getting into your gifts and you're learning your clairvoyance, you have to know, like, it's like you build your own language with spirit. So this kind of coming in right now because, like, for instance, like roses. Okay, sometimes that can be, I always have significant others present with roses, whether it be a boyfriend, an ex-boyfriend, whatever, or it can be like a symbolism of love. There might be sometimes something else attached to that, like he always gave you roses or something like that, or sometimes even the name Rose. It depends on how it comes in. I've had a rose shown to me drawn out as a tattoo. Well, it was a tattooed rose. So it just depends, but they will show it to you how you relate to it, how you reference it, and you have to build your own symbolism with spirit. You know, and that's going to come off of things that you know. Like sometimes they'll show me visions of like stuff that happened in my family. Like for like with my grandpa and how our relationship was, to relate it to how this person is with their grandfather. So they'll use my own situations. Same thing, like they will reference when I work cases, they will reference other cases or things I have seen in cases to say it's like this, because they can't show me exactly exactly what they want to say. So they know I've already seen that. I feel like I'm channeling. Like, I don't even know what I'm freaking talking about. So
keep going. It makes sense. Do it.
So, well, it's like because I've already seen that in the movie, it's easy for them to replay it. Like it's like in my mind somewhere, right? So it's easy for them to tap in and replay that instead of showing me their own situation. Like I was doing an astrology chart. Well, I was learning, like I'm taking classes with astrologists, and like the chart she was having me do for the very first time was about a serial killer couple that happened like in the 80s. And like I knew right away it was a couple when the Libra showed up in a certain place and stuff. But I was getting a reference to another case of a serial killer couple where they used to drive up to these girls and pick them up. And I don't think it was the same case, but it was an old case like that. And they showed it to me in black and white to tell me this is an older case. So sometimes I'll get that too, like depending on what the energy is. And I just get hair color. Like I was getting blonde and then dark hair. Well, the perp was blonde. Some of her victims were blonde, but then the victim was dark haired. So I didn't see the whole person, but I got a reference of their hair color. You know what I mean? So it's different for everybody and the way that they work. But a lot of times spirit will they'll take things that you already know or you've already seen or you've already experienced it. They'll replay it in your mind. That's how it works for me anyways. Might not work that for everybody, but I've just noticed that, like, if I watch shows or something, they can replay the show in my mind instead of showing me what exactly happened. So it's like, this is how similar it is, or it's like this case, or it's like this situation, or it's like this experience. So that's a lot of times how clairvoyance works. And then like, say they want to show me a cherry, like they'll show me cherries. And that might just mean like a tattoo cherry. That might be like the word cherry, but they show it to me. And then sometimes they'll spell out words in my mind instead of saying it. But I always say like, things are always usually kind of how I see them. It's just a matter of perception and how it relates to what we're talking about.
Yeah. And that's where the deciphering comes in. That's where psychics, if they really are real and they're not, out here scamming people for money and faking and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? There's certain places where that happens. I'm just going to keep my thoughts to myself. You get that psychic symbolism, and that's where you can get it wrong, is because clairvoyancy, it works like that for me too. Sometimes families can come in completely clear when the energy is really strong, but a lot of times they are blurry. They're a little blurry, but you can see things like hair, body size, just different, sometimes just certain features come in with clairvoyancy. Sometimes I see, and I know we're not talking about the smelling, but recently when you said rose, it reminded me right before reading, I smelt roses, and the passing of the husband planted a bunch of roses before he passed for his wife, and that he come in that way, but there's symbolism in it. And that's what makes clairvoyancy, when it comes to symbolism, a little harder. That's where it takes practice. Like
Mhm.
clairvoyancy, sometimes, like when going back to that real briefly, we can actually like get bits and pieces of information that we have to put together. But being clairvoyant, I literally open my mouth and the words come out. Then the clairvoyancy works in unison with the claircognizance. Okay, so you got this working in unison, right? And then you might get a smell or something. But about she was talking about movies, Rochelle was talking about movies. I get songs. So I'll wake up in the morning and I'll get a song in my head and it will relate some way to my client's situation. I think my grandmother does that. And I'm not trying to jump ahead because we're only a couple clairs away from opening up questions. And I guess we could probably scroll back through, but grandparents can be guides, but it's not, well, it depends, in my opinion, just from my experience. They can be guides, especially if they passed on before you did. But even if they do pass on, they can be a guide. They wouldn't be like your lifelong guide all the time unless they were gone before you got here. But they can come in and out. I've noticed grandparents and a lot of times, or parents or relatives, when I do past channelings, or even if I do any service, I have a relative come in and give me information about you because, you're giving me permission. That doesn't mean we can't see if we don't want to a degree, but maybe not as well as we could. That's where you have ethics. That's where you don't pry. So you have to use this. There is a, I hate to associate this word with this, but it needs to be said. There is a power that comes along with this. And it is nothing to play around with because you can burn yourself, you can burn other people. And I truly believe the best gifts, unless they come from darker places, are given to the most humble people.
Yeah.
Period.
And I truly, and that's why I always remain humble, and it comes in with that. Like, with great responsibility comes, with great power comes great responsibility. Said it backwards. Because literally, like, I've had people be like, well, I want to know how long I'm going to live. Like, I'm not going to tell you that. It's not my responsibility to tell you that. That's like your
Yeah.
soul contract, and what you're like. I'm not going to tell you if you're going to die of this or that, or like that's where your ethics don't. That's where you have to have ethics. You can't go around telling somebody like, oh yeah, well, I get warnings and I'll tell people like those are things to watch out for, but I'm not going to tell you like, oh yeah, like you might have cancer or something like that. Like, I'll tell you, hey, you need to go to the doctor. And
Yeah.
that's where the ethics come in at. But because we can always misperceive that too,
Yeah.
and that's not our business anyways. Like, that's totally not our business. But yeah, so clairvoyance, it's really strong for me. It's how I work a lot of it, but there'll be times where I'll see things and I don't understand. So I'll just like explain it to the client and hopefully it makes sense to them.
Yeah.
But I get songs too, like yesterday I was getting like Crimson and Clover, and it didn't make sense for them, and I don't know where the hell it fits, but it was before that I was getting the color Crimson and it still doesn't fit for them, and I don't know. Like, maybe they'll come back later and like, okay, this makes sense. But it drove me crazy because things like, if I don't say them, that's another thing. Like, if I don't say them what I'm seeing, it will repeat until I say it. That's how I know that it's not my mind, that it's from spirit, is if it's repetitive and it doesn't change. That's the
Right.
difference too. Like, you have to make sure that it's coming to you, not from you. Because a lot of times I notice, and I see this like in a lot of psychics and stuff, like they let their mind wander and go crazy, and that's where all like the conspiracies and stuff come in, when things are like we saw that a lot with Kylie Rodney, right? And where like people were just letting their mind go crazy, and then they're being kind of like taken over by the collective too, like, because we can pick up on thoughts and stuff in the collective. So that's something we have to make sure about, is that it's coming to us, not from us, when we're seeing things. And so that's why sometimes like I question it and I'll allow it to repeat, and it's like, okay, well, this is the way I'm seeing it. It's repeating, and that spirit will do that. And I'm sure my guides get mad at me because they're like, okay, we've showed you this like 5 times, like just say it already, because I will literally question it until I'm blue in the face, especially if it doesn't make sense. But
They
they won't
aggravate
stop
you.
until
They
I say
push
it.
you. They're like,
Yeah, they won't stop until I say it. So it's like, all right, I gotta say it because you guys won't stop. And then I notice if I question it, and if it's like what fleeting thought, and I don't say it, and like I question it, it'll make sense. Like, it'll end up fitting. Like, they'll say it in the reading, and it's like, oh crap, I knew that. I should have said it. So it's hard to like trust. Trust is a big part, especially with clairvoyance and what you're seeing. But again, you have to keep your mind in check with that. That's one thing that I always have to say with clairvoyance is like, you've got to keep your mind in check, because our mind and our imagination is connected to it and it can run wild.
Yeah. Then you get people out here that are in, this is more the kind of work that I do. And I figure out how I want to say this. When you first get into this, and if you're like a light worker and you use that term light warrior, you have to be very careful because your imagination can get away from you, and darker things. Because again, I'm a psychic medium that specializes in the paranormal. So I work between light and dark. We both do, but I handle more
In different
paranormal
ways.
stuff.
Yeah.
So basically, you got to be very careful because darker things or your mind can play tricks on you and make you think you're doing all these fantastical things when it's really just a dream, when it's really just your imagination. And, you know, I mean,
For
just be very
discernment.
careful with all that. And, Misty, you know, you're in the right place, and it's just part of, it's a continually working, it's a continual journey of working on yourself, and you're given these things, and then it's up to you on how much you want to put into it. It's like a muscle. We had to work this. I had to practice. I was very capable of providing readings for people and to the public a whole year before I ever even launched my services. I made sure of it from just me, right? But for a whole year, for 2 years, I practiced and did everything for free. And if somebody insisted on sending me a donation, I would be like, no, it's fine. If they insisted, I would let them, because that's their gift to me, right?
Mhm.
Or anything. It's just like, we're taught to say, no, I don't want any supper if I'm hungry you're at a friend's house. But then at that point, you're denying the gifts that they want to give you. You know what I'm saying? It's the same for psychic abilities. It doesn't always have to be about money. It can be about love. It can be about anything, and just that equivalent energy exchange. And that's the beautiful part of it. In the community that I have gained from that is it keeps me going, and it's a beautiful thing. Being and working in the realm of love. Like, we're
Yeah.
not perfect. Look, we go off, we have our, crappy moments, right? Like, I get it. We all do that, and it work. I mean, we're human. We have to live. Even me and Rochelle have to live like humans sometimes.
We're not God. We're not mystical beings. I just went over this the other night. Like, we don't know everything. Like
Mm-mm.
I totally wish we did, because like it would make my life and my job so much easier, and the expectations. But it's like everybody thinks you're psychic. You should know this. Like, seriously, like, you act like we're mystical beings just because we have abilities, and those abilities are God given. Like, we're only going to give what spirit wants us to know. Plain and simple. That's just the way it
Makes
is.
me sick, kind of, to my stomach to think about it.
Yeah, it's, we're only going to get what we're supposed to get, and that's it. Like, we have no control over the information that comes in. We have no control over that. Like, you have a lot of people, like, you have a lot of mediums that say, like, I notice, like, Matt Fraser and them, they're like, I don't have control over what comes through, because they're tapping into whoever wants to come in. And then you have ones that, like us, we connect with a picture, we can bring them in, but then I'm trying to bring them in another way now. But the point is if we're always growing, we're always evolving, we're always learning, like, if you guys watch my stuff from like a long time ago, like, auto writing was all over the place. Like, I was tapping into cases and everywhere, and I didn't know that. And it was like, now I have more control. The more that you do things, the more you have control over it. The more you practice it, the more you have control over it. I was just watching John Edward, and he was talking about like cards. Like, cards is no different, because literally it opens your intuition, and if you're already psychic, you're going to be bomb at it, because it's no different than a symbolism on a card, and it being an extension of you than seeing symbolism in your mind. So those kind of tools will help you grow as well, and you have to go to the tools that you're drawn to. But that's a part of it. Like, tools are okay to use, because again, we're just humans, and that's going to give us extra information. So,
Yeah.
but he also like spoke about, how like it opened up for him, and it's different for everybody, and sometimes people deny it, and it's just like pushed on you, and you're like, okay, cool. And sometimes
Yeah.
people ask for it, but it's about working. And the more that you do it, like he said too, that's where I was going with this, it's a muscle, like you were saying. Like, the more you use it, the better you get, the more you understand it. That's one reason I want to drop like private readings and start to work on cases, because I feel like that'll help me grow. And I feel
Yeah.
like I'm always wanting to evolve and bring in different things for cases and stuff, because that's going to help me grow and evolve. Like, I'm not one that wants to stay stuck in one spot. I want to constantly be moving. and
Same.
growing and evolving, because the more that I can grow, move, and evolve, the more that I'm going to be able to help people.
And
So
that's a characteristic you have to fully develop your gifts. Not everybody's meant to use all these gifts for the same purpose. And it's not, even though if you may have them, it may not be the right time in your life. But if you do not search for answers, if you do not try to find like ways to use it and what to do it, there is tons of information out there. And sometimes, you just have to filter through the poo to find it. But then finding a good spiritual teacher and one that you can connect with can really help you with that. So, my tablet's dying. But yeah, so, there's so many different ways you can do it. There's practice groups on Facebook. You can practice with your friends, and it just evolves. You have to trust the process and let it evolve. And then that moves into clairaudience, which we've already talked about. That's, if you want to talk about that, Rochelle, or just make sure we cover it. And then we got clairsentience, and that's it.
I think Tracy is bringing up a good thing too. Like when you tap into your third eye and you tap into things, you can't have fear. Like you can't be afraid of spirit. Yeah. You can't have fear. You can't be like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid because of the dark. Like you can't do that, because you will literally attract the dark. That doesn't mean you don't put up protections and all of that, but remember that your light is bright, and as long as you're not afraid, more than likely they're going to be put off by you. Like I've only had a few experiences in 11 years. It's not like, and I work this realm all the time.
Yeah, so, and there's some people that like me that got opened up from the dark, and I was attacked because of my light that I did not understand. So it's different for everybody. Like I've had more bad experiences than good experiences.
Like if you go into this with fear, because fear is a low vibrational thing.
I'm not saying that ain't the case. I'm saying that some people come into this from a darker perspective. So like coming into this, like I was forced into this to protect my family. I was forced to hone in my gifts to protect my children and my family. That's no lie. I never would have done this. And my back, like I was kind of forced, and it was something that I didn't have to continue, right? But it's something I couldn't ignore. So to learn how to protect myself and my family and understand why I was getting attacked from other people's stuff is because of my life's purpose. Because working in that realm, which we're not talking about today, working in that realm, some people open up through paranormal experiences. That's just, bad ones, not good ones.
Well, I had bad ones in the beginning of mine, remember?
Right. But I'm just saying, and I get that. I'm more or less telling them, like, people can go through some really bad stuff. Like, it can be terrifying. People that I've worked with, like, it's not positive at all. And the fear that comes from that keeps them suppressed and keeps them down. That way they can't build up their light. You know what I mean? And that does happen too. I just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah, but you do have to, like, if you're going to do this work, like, you can't be afraid to do it. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't step into it with fear, because that's a low vibrational thing, and they're going to feed on that fear.
Exactly. And that's the biggest thing. But
no
then
different
you have
than like clearing your house. Like you can't clear it with fear. You've got to be like powerful. Like you got to stand in your power and be like, get the hell out of here. Like I'm the boss. Yeah. This is my place. These are my boundaries.
If you clear it with fear, you effed up.
It's not going to work.
You can't. It can get a lot worse.
They feed on the lower energies and the fear and stuff. That was my point. Like,
yeah. And it's just important to say, because fear, it can go many different ways. And, even after all that, again, as we're not talking about the paranormal stuff, it still comes around, but eventually, that it can be handled. Paranormal stuff can be handled. I never had a good experience, hardly ever, but one time. Like, it's wild. The way that I got into this and the way Rochelle got into this, two totally different stories. And that's okay, because not everybody's story is different. Or the same, rather. Everybody's story is different. So the perspective is good. It's good to have. And know that, I don't know if I know some of you guys watching actually had stuff like that happen. And I've watched y'all grow and learn and blossom. And it's a beautiful thing. But it takes time to get out of that fear mind state. And those are a lot of the people that I work with, and having to encourage them.
The lower vibration too, of like sometimes even victim mindset. you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not that we're not a victim, not that we don't experience those things, because we've all been through stuff, but we have
Yeah.
to drop our past and that kind of trauma in order to move forward.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do this stuff with the trauma and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, and holding on to that. That's what I mean. Like, you have to like heal and grow from it, because that's a part of who you are, yes. But it's also going to make you stronger, and also you'll have more compassion for other people. That's sometimes why I feel like we go through this stuff, is to have compassion and understanding for other people. Like, we can't have an easy life and do this work, plain and simple, because
Mm-mm.
what did we learn from not going through anything that we could understand in other people's
Right.
lives?
And how are we
In my
supposed to
opinion.
relate or help other people, especially if we work in the field of like how would I be a paranormal psychic medium if I didn't have the paranormal experiences?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
So it's the same thing. And clairaudience we've already talked about quite a bit. I really don't think, yeah,
I
we
mean,
don't need to
it's just
go
like
over it.
it just depends. Sometimes people will hear it outside of their head. Like, that doesn't happen to me a lot, but sometimes it's kind of interesting, because when they want to tell me someone has schizophrenia or something like that, or even like dark forces are whispering to them, I'll hear like whispers, but it's kind of like inside outside. Like, that's kind of hard to explain, but I'll know it's like whispers. Like, I don't know. I just, from like the experiences of learning, I can't explain
Yeah.
that. Like, sometimes it's inside my head. Most of the time I'll hear it inside my head. It'll be like form of thoughts, but sometimes when spirit's talking, I'll hear it in their voice, or like I'll hear how their voice will sound, but it'll only be like one word, or saying like mija, or like I'll hear Spanish in a female voice, but it's like in my head. I don't know how to explain it. It's not coming out here, but everybody hears it differently. So sometimes people will hear outside their head, sometimes they'll hear inside their head. And again, they'll hear numbers, they'll hear words, or full on sentences, or channeling, like like auto writing and just channeling out the words. So it can come in any way that spirit wants to talk. And again,
Yeah.
that kind of, I think, works a little bit with claircognizance too,
I believe
and
so. Yeah.
clairvoyance. I noticed that clairvoyance and clairaudience kind of go together. Like, it's like a like, again, like a machine.
The flow. Yep, clairaudience is really interesting, and there's certain times like I'll hear like outside of my head, but it's not like coming from the difference between talking to somebody and hearing spirit is it's like for me personally, it's like a surround sound. There's no pinpointing of where it comes from when you actually hear it, like me and Rochelle are talking to you. That's the one thing that I've noticed, and it happens too in your head. Like my thoughts, it's one thing to hear your thoughts, it's another thing to hear a voice. Which I know there's things like before you go to sleep or when you're in a meditation state, I can hear it, but there also is some scientific evidence that that's a certain condition and this, that, and the other. But when it relates to what you're going through, it relates to what somebody else is going through that you never even met and you didn't know you were going to meet for another 3 days, something's wrong. Okay. It's called being clairvoyant or clairaudient. So sometimes when I have cases, like I start to experience things my clients are experiencing in a very chill manner or getting information or things that'll start happening 3 days prior. And that's generally with paranormal cases. So yeah, clairaudience is pretty interesting. And then clairsentience is clear feeling in the body. So that means you can pick up on other people's pains. Clairsentience, like Rochelle actually does this very well with different pains. You also, with clairsentience, if you're doing like medical mediumship, you can see certain parts of the body and like see something with it in symbolism because it all works together. But mainly clairsentience makes you very receptive to the energy in your environment. Period. And if you're very clairsentient, you have a lot of earth energy, in your chart and stuff like that. You have to be very careful because this goes along with being empathic too, and overly empathic, because they go hand in hand. Clairsentience and being empathic. You can be more empathic than you can be more rather than being more clairsentient. So you're picking up feelings in the body. Somebody you're super close to. Let's say you're not doing obviously this to do readings, or maybe even if you're doing it for your friends. Somebody you're super close to, or maybe even not. They stump their toe, or they're having pain, or maybe more internal pain, more serious pain that they can be having. You can actually start to feel that. Like, or during a reading, like a woman that may have had, some issues with, her cycle, and there's pain there, you can pick that up. Or maybe even heart pain, like, oh no, I'm doing a reading, this person passed away from get pain in your heart after it happens so much. And sometimes this is rather intense. Like I've been on live here with Rochelle and other places, and like something comes through and I get that pain. Now this is in terms of like, more, I guess you could say, more like past relatives or people that have passed away. There's a different set of stuff that happens clairsentiently. It's still the same that can happen through like spiritual attack and stuff, which I can't remember if we've covered that here, because I've covered all kinds of crap everywhere. But one day we may. I think we talked about it here. If not, we will probably one day about spiritual protection, if Rochelle's okay with it. And but yeah, you can actually get physically attacked, like even anxiety attacks. If you've never had an anxiety attack in your life and you're just fine, but you're starting to have paranormal activity, you start to get these weird pains, because paranormal activity also doesn't have to always be negative. Paranormal activity could be just a random house spirit that doesn't mean any harm, and they just want to cross over, right? But my rule of thumb is always to be very careful with stuff like that, because if you don't have the discernment to tell the difference, it can get really crazy really fast, just as a paranormal psychic medium. But yeah, so in a reading, you'll just pick up on different sensations, like, oh man, my shoulder hurts, my back hurts. Did you dislocate your dislocate your shoulder recently? I mean, it could be anything, but most commonly, like, head pain. You'll have like different headaches. The head pain can also signify like head trauma, and then that will work with your other clairs, your clairsentience. But the main thing is, if you are very clairsentient, you can get very, very sick from channeling.
I do
Like
sometimes,
very, yeah.
depending. Like I've had cases where it's like, I think Audrey, it was like I was picking up on her before we knew she was gone, and I was looking at this like the water and stuff, and I just got like sick. Like I had to lay down, like I will feel that way sometimes too. So yeah, that can happen.
Yeah, and like especially if, like Misty's saying, she just knows when something's wrong, and it can be debilitating. And yes, that comes with being very clairsentient. And it can make you physically ill. And one of the hardest things for somebody that's so open and clairsentient is grounding themselves and learning how to transmute that energy. If you cannot transmute that energy, then it's best to take time. You have to really focus on your meditation and your spiritual practices and routines, which isn't always meditation. It's a very big part of it, but meditation doesn't have to be, it can be a lot of things. We've already talked about that and covered it in other episodes. I think that was our last one, I think. Don't hold me on that. I'm pretty sure though. But yeah, because everything's running together where I've been working so much lately. But yeah, clairsentience is something that is very special, and it does tie into the other gifts, just like all the others. But you just have to remember to pay extra special attention to your spiritual routines, because that energy, there's people with different abilities transmute energy in another way. And that would be a good topic too to cover one day, about energy transmutation. But yeah, unless Rochelle has anything you want to add, I'm going to stop there, because there's so many questions in the chat.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about, because this is something that like I started doing the last couple of years, with the medical mediumship, and like how I feel things, but at the same time I'm feeling them, I'll seeing them. So like mine works with my clairvoyance. They started to show me how things move in the body. So for instance, if I get head pain and there's something in the brain, like this just happened recently. I get head pain, but there's like something in the brain, but I can't really see it, but it's stopping blood flow. And I'll be like, okay, my head hurts, but there's something that's stopping blood flow. And I'll start thinking about, I was like, is that like a tumor? Is that like it's hard to tell sometimes, because like, is it a tumor? Is it like a stroke? Like something like that. Like it's kind of, sometimes things present the same way and it's hard to tell the difference, but I get heart pain a lot, but not also with the heart pain, they're starting to show me how a heart looks. And they'll show me like the ventricles and everything, like the blood flow. Like if there's any kind of blockage, or there was a blockage, they'll show me the blockage of the blood flow. And I cough a lot with heart. Like I've been fighting this cough for like 8 weeks now, but I noticed too now, like I'll cough even more if there's something with the heart or the lungs, but specifically with the heart, I will cough. And I have stuff with the head. And I noticed too, like with ODs and things like that, I get more of the symptoms of what it feels. So, respiratory failure, headache,
Mm-hmm.
like so that's kind of hard to differentiate. Sometimes I'll feel high, sometimes I won't. Like I can pick up if someone's high, and if someone's high that I'm talking to, like for whatever reason, they're on medication or whatever that may be. Sometimes I'll pick it up in the chat. We've gone through that on lives, or I'm like, all right, who's smoking or who's doing what, who's on their medication, because I can feel it. So, that's how like the clairsentient works for me. It doesn't work so much like spiritually, like I can feel spirit here, but like if I go to somewhere that's haunted, I'll feel that. I'll feel the heaviness. Like for instance, I walked in the birdcage and it was the heaviest place I've ever felt in my life. Like that place is that's crazy. It's crazy. It was like so heavy, like immediately, like I felt like like so much pressure on me, like heavy. Once I walked outside, it was like, oh, I've never
Yeah.
felt anything like that, But like if I go into like those kind of places, I'll more than less like feel pains everywhere, or like, oh, and sometimes I'll get like a gunshot with the pain, or sometimes I'll get this with the pain, and sometimes it'll hit me. So I feel it more like that. Like I've gone into hospitals, I've gone into certain hospitals, so I don't feel anything. I went into a hospital with my son one time, and I was like, I was feeling pain everywhere. I was like, I gotta get the hell out of here. Because I never did, like, it really opened up the last 2 years. Like when I had a new medical guide step in, like, and it was crazy because, and I just got chills on my legs. It was crazy because my mentor used to always tell me I was a medical medium. And I'm like, because I used to always tell everybody, I'm not a medical medium, but I'm getting this. And she would tell me, you are a medical medium. But it
Yeah.
hadn't really hit me for like 2 years. And it doesn't mean that I had diagnosed, but sometimes I'll see things that's going on in the body. I'm like, okay, you need to go get this checked and that checked. And this is what they're suggesting that you do. And I've had times where it's come through where I thought it was coming from spirit, but it was for them. Like I was getting fluid on the spine in one of my readings, and she was like, no, that doesn't make sense for any of my loved ones. And I was like, okay, we'll just hang on to it. Well, 2 days later, she went to the doctor. She's got fluid on her spine. So it was something like that. Like it doesn't always fit your loved ones, and I don't always know why I'm feeling what I'm feeling, but it just depends. And sometimes they'll be more descriptive. Like I've had spirits where they'll literally show me everything that happened in their body. And then I'll have ones that like, I kind of got to guess, off the feelings or references. Like with cancer, I get achy all over because I have, they get really achy and painful, but sometimes that's also like anything that can cause you pain, like any kind of disease that can cause you pain like that, I'll feel it. So that's kind of how like clairsentient works for me. But can I tell you if there's a spirit like standing in the corner or standing next to me? Not really. I'll feel the chills and stuff, but I just don't feel them like that. I wish I did. And that goes like for when I'm working on a map, that's part of clairsentient too, and feeling which way to go. Like I get overwhelmed because I will go places and I don't know why I go there. And it doesn't make sense until later. It's not like anything pops out at me and it's like, okay, yeah, that person's right there. That's where the body is. It's not like that. I'll find out later that that's where a body found or whatever. And then it's like, okay, that makes sense. Or that's where they lived, or that's where evidence is. Like, I don't always know why I feel, or that place is haunted. Like if I feel something on a map, it's not always our victim. Sometimes it's this place is haunted, or I'll find out a body was found there at some point, but I'm drawn to it, but I don't know why. So I get really overwhelmed and I kind of go all over the place. And that's why I can't pinpoint on a map, because I can't differentiate my pulls and why I'm pulled. So, and sometimes it's stronger than others, but
Over
that works
time, I
different for
think you'll
everybody.
continue. You'll
I
continue
hope
to.
so, because that's the
I
most
think you
frustrating
are.
thing. It's so frustrating. Like I'll go on a map and I notice though too, like if I go the same place 500 times, it's usually relevant, like
Yeah.
like in Quentin, I kept going to the landfill over and over and over, no matter which way I went, multiple times, and I ended up at the landfill, but it like didn't hit me like, okay, that's where he is. And then
Yeah.
the same thing
I'm
with
proof of that. I was with her
yeah.
doing that. We did that for hours. Well, she's like, the landfill. We were going back and forth, and it was
I'm like,
wild.
but wait, because I was getting stuff around it, so it confused me, like all the marshy areas and stuff, because they'll show me places around it.
And we
Going back
talked
to
about the duck hunter because I
yeah,
described it, and either I said duck hunter or you said duck hunter. There was something about a damn duck hunter,
yeah,
and that's
it
when we
was
got
like a
pulled to the
different case.
marsh.
Yeah, it was a different case. There was a body found like in the marsh,
Yeah.
like or bones or something. So it's not always like that's where the interconnects and stuff come in. But like the what was that case up north? Merced. the Merced 4, like with the baby crying, like I kept hearing the baby crying, but I couldn't find the baby, but yet I was ending up in the same place every time I'd go on the map. And it was like law enforcement was taking stuff from psychics, and I didn't, like, I was scared to like tell them go here because I wasn't sure. It was like, because there was nothing like screaming at me, yes, this is it, but yet I kept ending up there. So that's kind of how it works for me. Like I'm still learning that. I can't differentiate why I go here or why I go there, or why I feel this way on a map. So that's why it's so hard for me to be like, okay, and that's why I don't contact law enforcement. I'm not trying to send people on wild goose chases. But
that's why the forensic astrology is going to be very helpful. And there's people, it doesn't have to be law enforcement.
So far,
there's
it's
groups.
Not. So far it's not. Like the forensic
it's going to take a long time. I'm not trying to front astrology is tough. I'm a baby astrologer still, even though I know how to do astrology. Oh, my new book. Let me see if I can grab it.
No, but I'm gonna like the lines, like you never know really what line to follow, but that's where like the psychic impressions come in with it. Like I keep kicking myself over Dylan that I had a map and didn't know I had it, and it's like if I would have known I had the map, I would have known what lines to follow, because it's not always the Saturn line. A lot of times it is, and it can be, but in him it was his ascendant line, which is really weird. But it's just that's what's hard, is what line do you follow, and so I'm hoping that it gets better. But my location sucks. I hate it because in remote viewing, going back to clairvoyant can work with clairvoyance, because when you're remote viewing, that ties into clairvoyance. I can put myself in an area. I can feel how it feels to be there. I can look around and see things around me, but most of the time I'm in woods and I'm looking around in woods like, okay, well, I'm in woods. Where the fuck are these woods at? Or I'm on an airplane, or I'm in the submarine.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was put in the submarine on that one, and I was like, why it's all dark, why am I in the submarine?
Oh man, that was the freakiest vision, because I already don't like deep water. Pretty sure in a past life, guys, I drowned. I know I did, because I seen it in a dream, and then I've had people like do it for me, and I was a man too, which makes sense, because I've always been more, even though like you see in a more feminine presence, I've always had more of that gun-ho, like I'm going to do the man's job energy. And just until I didn't even wear dresses until I was almost 30. Oh, I love them now. I'm just embodying my femininity in the moon and shit. It's wild.
I'm 40.
I love them now because they're just so comfortable. I haven't wore a pair of blue jeans in like years, but that's a different story. I used to love them. It's weird. But that was the freakiest vision, because I don't like deep water. You about ain't to catch my butt in no tin can submarine going down to the Titanic.
I'm
not trying to be insensitive.
Like, everything went dark, no different than the airplane. When I was put on the airplane and I'm hearing the buzzing going off, it's like they'll put me in the past, but I'll remote view it. It's crazy because I don't put myself there. And then I noticed too, like the remote viewing, like if I'm trying to put myself where something's happening to a victim, right? And I'm either seeing through the perpetrator's eyes, I'm seeing through the victim's eyes, or I'm seeing through a third person. Like I'm standing there watching everything. So, and I don't choose which position I'm put into. So sometimes I can't see the perp because I'm in his mind and in his eyes. So I can't see him unless he like looks in a mirror. That I'm noticing that when I can't see a perp, sometimes it's usually because one, I'm not supposed to because it's not time, or two, because I'm seeing through his eyes, and like in Rachel's, like I started seeing through a mirror. Like I saw him in a mirror, like when he looked in the mirror. So I was seeing through his eyes. So I can't control what part I'm seeing and all of that. And then so that kind of gets kind of annoying a little bit, but that's not they do what they put me where they want to put me for whatever reason they want to put me there.
Right. And there's a reason for that, and it's a very interesting thing that you do there with the, because I didn't even think, I mean, I knew there was mediums, but when I was already doing this work, like I knew there was mediums that like try to look for missing people, but I did not realize, because I watched true crime and stuff like that. My mom was more into it. I know I'm getting stones thrown at me right now. Just watch out. But that was before like all this. I didn't know mediums did this. And I don't know, the way me and Rochelle met, I'm sure I've said it before, but I just come across Rochelle, I guess, one day, and Spirit's like, messenger. And I'm like, huh? They're like, messenger. And I'm like, because I'm not the type of person just to pop in anybody's inbox. And before I ever did this work, I didn't really message people online at all. Like I was I worked all the time. Like, I didn't have time for none of this. I was raising youngins, and I mean, I would, but it would just be like close family. I never like met people online. I just stuck to my clan here where I live. But I was like, this girl's going to either ignore me or think I'm crazy. But somehow we talked. I told you what I was or something in the chat. And you're like, yeah, message me sometime. And I did. And I'm like, look, I know this sounds really weird, but I feel like I'm drawn to help you get something. It was your old table you used to use for filming. And I helped her get the table, and I was broke and she was broke. And I'm like, look, it's all going to work
I'm
out.
always
And then,
broke.
yeah, I mean, but we always have, don't we, though? We're
Yeah, no,
always
we have to be
provided
always
for.
thankful, because even when I'm broke, like it'll come up, but I'm broke because of my animals. They keep me
Right.
broke. But that's what we pay for, like, things that we love in life. So yeah, that's just like kind of going in a little all over the place about how, like, it works for me, and it might not work that way for everybody, but that's kind of like, I've always asked for more clairsentient because I'd like to feel more. I'd like to feel
Yeah.
more in an area to walk towards a missing person, because you have psychics that like if you watch Cincy Murder, like, they'll go on a map and they'll be like, okay, well, let me go right here, and they'll end up literally where it happened without knowing anything, and they'll feel things in certain areas, and I have a hard time, like, doing that. Like, I
Yeah.
don't have a lot of practice with it either. So
Can't find my plug for my tablet might go dead, so I won't be able to put any more comments in at this time, but it'll be fine. It's going to go dead. Womp womp. My phone's good.
But it all works together. Like, it all
It
works together.
does.
We're all kind of, like, gifted differently, like, in how we feel things and how we get information, but it does kind of work in unison. But it comes a little at a time, and you just have to keep working on it, and you're going to be gifted how you're going to be gifted. And that's it. Like, sometimes sometimes we're meant to do crime, like it's in my astrology chart to do this sometimes. And sometimes we're meant to do other things, and then everybody has different ideas on that. I know, like, John Edwards doesn't he doesn't like to do, like, cases like and puts information out there. People feel differently about that. So, I mean, it's in my astrology chart. I kind of, like, have a passion for this. I kind of go towards that direction. But somebody else, it might be something completely different for them. They might just be meant to be a healer, or be meant to do paranormal, or be meant to just give, like, mediumship readings or psychic readings or all of that. It's just different. So
Technical difficulties. I've listened to everything you said, but I had to, like, get my light and everything plugged up. But you're right. Everybody's going to use it for differences. You don't have to do everything. Don't overwhelm yourself. If you're an intuitive person, you're not going to potentially have all the clairs, or you may, and it takes a while. Your time, when it's time, as long as you put in the effort and you take the inspired action, you will learn what you need to learn. It's already mapped out. The biggest thing is, do not stress, because spirit always has your back. I mean, period. Just don't. If you can help it, right? Because we all suffer from bouts of anxiety. Just don't breathe. Just don't stress, breathe.
yeah, because
So,
in the beginning I was getting all kinds of anxiety and I didn't understand it. It was because spirit was trying to communicate. So if you're getting a lot of anxiety, it's not always your heart or anything like that. Sometimes it's spirit. It's feeling the energy of spirit. Like, I don't have that problem anymore. And you'll go through things, and then you'll kind of, like, outgrow it. But, like, I've been doing this for almost 12 years now, and it's taken me a long time to get here, and I'm still not where I want to be. So we're always growing and moving and evolving, and we never learned it all. Even 20 years from now, we're not gonna learn it all.
yeah, absolutely. I'm looking through I've started at the top, and I'm just scrolling down to see, like, where the first question
Yeah,
is,
good luck.
because y'all ask a lot of
I'll get
questions. So,
lost.
yeah,
I'll get lost on your questions. So
yeah,
you guys want to
I've got about 10 or 15 minutes before I have to hop off here. So maybe we could do a speed round. speed round, like Call of Duty. Oh, I want to tell y'all a funny story. It's not funny, and I'm not trying to make y'all, just, it's my sense of humor, and everything's fine. He's going to be okay. We've got an appointment. I'm prefacing this, but I did laugh, and maybe I'm an awful person. Y'all tell me if I'm awful. My son just recently got a lazy eye. We've just started noticing it, and he does not believe us. Okay, so we're at the doctor's office, and he's laying down on his side. The doctor checks. He's like 20/50 in his right eye and 20/30 in his left. And I hadn't seen it. Only my fiance and his dad had seen it. Okay. So he's laying there and he's looking at me, and this eye just like rolls down to the side of his face. He's like, and he literally says the words, "I don't have a lazy eye." And I literally watched his eye drop just straight down. I about died. Maybe it's just my humor, but I thought it was funny, and it's from Call of Duty. So when I'm sitting here doing this speed round, I'm thinking of Call of Duty and my son's lazy eye. So that's why I'm laughing and being weird. I'm going to watch my words. We can't use the same words we used in the 90s online. But yeah. I'll never forget that as long as I live. It literally just went. Bless his heart. Okay, I'm still looking for questions.
Third eye.
Thank you.
I always, a lot of third eye exercises you can find like on YouTube and stuff. There's lots of YouTube videos for that. Meditation on your third eye. I always see it opening, clearing the third eye chakra. And, there's some people that have other ideas, like looking up towards your third eye and bringing your attention there. I've seen that. So there's lots of different exercises you can do, working with it, clearing it, all of that. So it's basically how. Do you have any ideas on how to?
Yeah, opening your third eye. I mean, same thing, just meditation. And again, the whole thing is opening. The whole thing about this is opening your third eye. It comes in many forms. It's not just about seeing. So if you're trying to see and force yourself to see something, if that's what that means for you, that might not be your gift. The person that asked it, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. You might be more of a thinker. Like you might just know things more so. I didn't catch the name, but you might just know things more so. Yeah. Than you see things. You can ask for it, but you can't force yourself to see. So if your gifts aren't seeing, and that's why you can book a Natural Born Intuitive Gifts Astrology with me session, and I can tell you what it's just, I'm trying to be silly, but for real, I do offer a service where I can look into that for you guys. But rule of thumb, just, if you see things, if you daydream a lot, you're probably a seer. And it's somewhat related to the elements like earth feels, fire sees, but there's so much more to it. So anyways. The grandparents have a question. Is it possible for grandparents to be spirit guides? Yes, I think we answered that.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Thank you, Barb and Tracy.
In my opinion, it's not super common for our loved ones to become our guides, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they step in and give us like advice every once in a while, but it's not like it's not a big ordeal. Yeah. I'm just looking hard. I don't know. I'm slow moving. I'm trying, y'all. If you see one, Rochelle, let me know.
All of her information is in the description box for booking.
Yeah.
With her.
You just can email me or DM me on any of my socials and say, hey, I'm interested. I prefer emails, but if you DM me, that's fine too. It's just I keep track of it everywhere. It's Luminary Luna Beams at gmail.com. I'm looking. I'm just going to scroll to the bottom. I know some, but I know Waterfall had a good question I wanted to answer, Waterfall, and I'm looking for it.
You guys can re-ask your questions if we missed it.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to scroll all the way back up.
XO love OXOX paranormal situation right now in your home. If it's ongoing, terrifying, I don't charge for paranormal work. If you want me just to kind of look into it, I will, and then I can determine if I can help you going forward. because I tend to only handle like really bad cases these days. But I mean, I'm always willing to give advice.
And chakras are connected to the third eye. So you open your chakra again, exercises, things like that. Meditation, all that can help open your third eye.
Yeah, I'm just going to go to the bottom, guys, because it's just taking too long. I don't want to keep y'all.
Yeah. So you guys can re-ask. Barb is asking, just if you guys don't mind re-asking, so we don't have to go through all the comments because it's a lot. So we kind of want to hold the questions till later.
Yeah, we tried.
Can't find them.
I really did. I saw some good ones, and Waterfall had a good one. I about want to answer it. I don't know why it was so good. It'd probably be like really weird, and I say that, but I don't know why it was so good. I wanted to answer it.
Up. We'll do this one.
Thank you. Because it's really small for me because I'm on my phone. Even though my phone's big, it just everything makes it small. Why do you see no faces, Barb? That's really weird.
I mean,
I'm not supposed to do this. Faces. I know, but I'm just I am trying to tap in and ask because I want to know why. I'm kind of curious, Barb. Just people, no faces. It's really weird. I don't know. Maybe it's some type of like terrifying thing. Like maybe something you saw. Like I'm getting that thing of like something you saw when you were younger that was spooky. Like a movie. I don't know why. I just kind of went off on a little scribbly thing, but it's almost just like a fear. It's just people. That's what I keep hearing. It's just people. That's weird. I don't know. That's all Spirit's really giving me.
Spirit. Let go of your fear of seeing spirit. Maybe. Hang on.
Yeah.
That's true. You can answer that.
So that's, I mean, I've never really thought about that, but the date of conception is a sliding thing. So like even though everybody has a different opinion on when the soul enters the body. I particularly believe our soul incarnates in the womb. Like we enter in the womb before we're born into the world. That's just my belief. If your belief's different, that's fine.
But that is we're born. It's just before we're born. We're kind of not in there the whole time.
Yeah, so exactly. So it can come in at any time, right? I know this sounds really crazy, but I actually think I have a memory from the womb. I'll go into that another day. But it's a good question, and the best answer that I can give you is that's the day you were born into the 3D realm. Even though you were in the 3D realm, you were in the womb. And it seems to work out very well, actually, because I couldn't imagine, and we don't know the date of conception, right? Because conception, like, it depends on each woman's body. So some babies can, like, the egg and we're going a little thing here, like it can happen in between, 5 days. So the ovulation date can be anywhere from 5 days to 14 days. So that would be my best guess. It's the first day that we literally get to look up at the sky.
Yeah, and get to breathe into this world, and that's when our blueprint starts. It doesn't start before that, so it aligns with that. But and I've heard, I've had this medium, she wrote this book, and I remember this story, and she was saying the lady was having a really hard time having birth and stuff, and it was because the baby was on the other side, like having its birthday, and she felt this whoosh, and the soul came into the baby's body right before it was born. So that's my opinion on that.
Yeah.
Same. I mean, you kind of use your third eye with remote viewing, but it's kind of a different gift. It's like a branch off of the clairvoyance, because you can't really remote view if you can't see.
Yep, because the third eye, technically, the term of opening your third eye, you hear people say that's opening up to your spiritual gifts. Opening your third eye legitimately is clairvoyancy, and part of remote viewing is linked to clairvoyancy, just like Rochelle said, but we're remote viewing locations, and some people can see, but not everybody can remote view, and there's different levels of remote viewing within remote viewing.
Yeah, because like I'll be there and I can see around me, but I can't like zoom in and see the name on a sign, like it's not like that for me. I'm like stuck in that spot.
That's your root.
We talked about that last live. You just got to move light through that, I think.
It's a grounding thing too. Might be wrong, and there might be somebody in the chat I have in mind. There's a couple Reiki healers, but I think that's attached to your root chakra, and it has something to do with past trauma. So your root chakra is your traumas here on earth, like your foundation, and it's working with that. If it's stuck, see a Reiki healer. Like, it
And,
will help if you work with that and work through moving through that trauma. You can do it on your own, but it's always good to have people that can help you with this. There's a bunch of great people that help move energy through the body, and
you
that
can
can help.
also, you can move it yourself though too, by like imagining that. We talked about this last week, like imagining the light, or you can even use a snake or whatever it is and move it up through your spine and your chakras as you open and, you know, clear them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and you can do a lot of more research on how to do that as well. There's lots of like, that's why I like YouTube, because there's so many like people that are experienced in other things that can explain way more, you know, and have all these like things that you can do. You just put it in the search bar.
Yeah. Yeah. And the difference between spiritual and paranormal, if you wanted to put a label on it, like, paranormal just means not normal. And out of our 3D perception, everything could be considered paranormal. But in, like, as of now, in my opinion, like where we are collectively and how we use those terms are two different things. So being spiritual can be everything collectively, right? Because spiritual battle, spiritual warfare. But now the paranormal technically again means everything not normal, but paranormal for me is generally used in a lower vibrational way, or earthbound lower vibrational, because again, the realms, and this isn't necessarily how it looks, this is just the easiest way to explain it. You have the earth realm, and then you have ascended realms and descended realms. And then, when I talk about paranormal, I tend to say lower vibrational realms. When I talk about spiritual realms, and I use that term interchangeably, but is it appropriate? No. But I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? Like, it just depends on what you want to say, but they both technically mean, the spirit realm, it's the self, but I use the word spirit to identify my spirit guides in a higher ascended way. It's just like them. It's like they, and they, or there. It's kind of the same thing now. Hey, down south.
There's your question. You were looking for that.
Yeah. When you do mediumship, do you talk straight to our past family members, or do you talk to your guides and our guides? That's a great question. That's how I wanted to answer it. Do you want to answer it? I can answer it if you want.
I think it's different for everybody. I mean, we have guides that are gatekeepers and stuff. So, like, for instance, they'll work with the loved ones on the other side. I most of the time directly connect to your loved one. And that doesn't mean the guides aren't there, like, overseeing. That's how I look at it. Like, they oversee things, and they're like, we have gatekeeper guides, and they will let through who, are supposed to be let through. But I like literally have I don't know how it is for you, Chasity, but for me, whenever I see them on the other side, they're like surrounded by light.
Yep.
And they're like in like a waiting room type area, and they will step forward, and that's where I will see them. And then sometimes they'll still like lift that light up and say, okay, there's a field of flowers, or, this is how it looks on the other side where I'm at. But most of the time they're in like this, there's white behind them, or it's like this room where they come to communicate.
Yes.
That's how it is for me.
There's always light behind them. And I think the room for you developed over time, correct? Because you started channeling in multiple people's past relatives at one time, or a lot, right? Can you resonate with that, Rochelle? Like, the room developed over time?
I always direct dialed, but that didn't mean like a couple like things didn't come in from other loved ones, but it's usually just one person, like when I direct dial.
Okay, yeah. I was just curious because that's pretty cool.
Sometimes they'll step back and they'll be like, okay, I'm here with this person, and this dog. Like they'll still step back and they'll be like with other people, but most of the time it's when I'm connecting to that one loved one, like they're the one that step forward.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. It's like that. Yeah. I mean, when I connect with a past relative, it's generally, I feel a connection with that relative. I see the light behind them, or I see them in their life doing things, and it's all light. It's all fuzzy, or it's energetic. It's totally different than connecting with something that's darker.
Yeah.
100%.
Like I always see them in the light, and I noticed like the couple times that I've had somebody where I couldn't find them on the other side, like they weren't showing up. It's like it's almost like my spirit then will go to lower astral, and then I see dark around them. So like with Ted, when I first connected with him, he was in the dark, so I saw dark behind him. There's been like 2 other people that I've connected with that did things in their lives that thought they should be there, and that's where they were like it was dark behind them. So that's how I tell the difference in what realm I'm in. Is if I'm on the other side, I'm in the light, like they have light all behind them. So now whenever I connect with Ted, like there's all light behind him, but before there wasn't. So that's how it is for me. And animals the same way. They come in the same way, like with light behind them, but sometimes, usually at the end with them and kid, like not always with kids, but, and I don't always see them either. Like sometimes I do, but I definitely see them when they leave, but I don't always see them when they present. They'll just start showing me visions and stuff. Like I'm here, like this is, you're connected now kind of thing. But I don't always see them, but sometimes I do. And same thing like with spirit leds, like I don't always see them, but sometimes I do, but it's more like blurry, like fuzzy, like almost like you're seeing like the light astral body, I guess, but so they don't have all like those physical features, but they can give you the physical features. That's what I'm thinking it is. It's because you're seeing like the light astral body, and that might be why it's a little fuzzy. I'm that kind of just came to me, and I never realized. I was like, why is it so fuzzy? And that's probably why.
Because they don't always look very solid.
Yeah.
They really, I mean, and even beings that aren't associated with who I'm channeling in, if I've seen astral beings when I'm awake and I'm like remote viewing up instead of down, or like earth plane, basically, it's really weird to explain that. They look like light. They look like light.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have to come down sometimes, and the more they descend, or well, yeah, it would be descending, but not in a negative way. The more if they're ascended, they have to descend a little bit to meet
And we
me, or I have to raise up. Yeah, we're both doing this.
We got to raise our vibration to get to them. Basically, that's why ADHD comes in handy, because our mind works fast, everything works fast. So then they're on that faster level. And I had somebody bring that to my attention that I didn't realize before, but I always kind of explain it as a fan. When you're on the low fan, like that's like Earth, right? And then the medium fan is like the Earth, like earthbound, lower astrals, like that. And then the high vibration is the high speed of the fan.
Yeah.
So we have to get up to that high speed of the fan. But in order for me to get into, like, say I'm trying to find somebody, like I had never had that experience before. I tried to connect to this person's loved one for a freaking hour. It was a 20-minute reading. Freaking hour. I'm like, I cannot get this guy. And I'm looking everywhere, all over. Like, it's almost like I was looking all over heaven for this dude. Like I couldn't find him. Finally, I'm like put in the dark, and that's where he's at. And I'm like, okay, now we can connect. And then I helped move him into the light. Once he went over the trauma with his daughter and everything he had done, then he was then he was able to move into the light. So it was like he needed, kind of like Ted, like he needed to communicate and be forgiven for what he had done and have that redemption, and then he could move. But it was like spirit put me there, like, because I was like, where is this guy? Like, I can't find him for an hour. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, is he even over there?
I'm having more and more revelations about earthbound spirits, and what, like, I'm starting to see it clearer and clearer and clearer, and I'm not ready to collectively share everything because I want to get it all straightened out. And this is not, again, this will be my point of view. It has nothing to do with anything else. And, it just be what I think about earthbound spirits. Is something I'm going to be covering on my channel and stuff. I'm just still coming in, and I want to be able to translate it into a way, because that's mine and Rochelle's jobs. We have to take this information, and some days we're better at it than others, where we can take this information and translate it into like easier ways, because we're taking literally our crazy ass experiences and telling y'all about them in a very good way that you can understand. Like tonight, I'm not on my game for translating words, because again, my energy's waning, and but it always makes me happy. Like I'm a lot more energetic now than I was before I started. But I think that's from y'all, because all the positive vibes.
You're taking all my energy from the I had this lady, there's like this little coffee shop over there. And so I like to come up with like my own drinks, sometimes I was like, I'm going to stop in for a coffee, but I'd like an ice cream. She like did raspberry espresso in ice cream with some like cinnamon like flavoring, and put whipped cream on top, and it was like a freaking
Sounds really good.
raspberry ice cream, and you couldn't even taste the coffee. It tastes like a shake.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
Yeah. I was
It'd have
like,
been
oh
like
man,
dark
this is just
chocolate
great. Just
raspberry.
what I needed to be addicted to, just what I
Yeah,
needed to be addicted to.
I love it. You could be addicted to worse things. It's fine. You're fine. Okay. Tools for remote viewing. I've been
Clairvoyant.
trying to think about when the first time I remote viewed was, and I cannot. It came to me like a ton of bricks, and it just kept getting crazier and crazier. And I don't mean that; it's just a little exaggerating. I need to be careful because I get my sense of humor in here, and I exaggerate a little bit, and then it kind of gives people a perspective. So I have to tone it back a little bit, especially when I'm teaching, because I tend to be silly. But it can be kind of interesting when you remote view because it's like, so when I started out, like it would just be in this place, and it's a mental thing. It's part of clairvoyancy, right? And then that's when everything starts working together. And, I go to a location, and how do I get there? I don't know, right? And then sometimes, like back in the year or two ago, I would literally I'm always awake too. I'm never asleep. I'm fully conscious. You could have a conversation with me while I'm remote viewing. Jump up. I visualize myself jumping up straight up into space, right? And then I see the world, right? And then I go land exactly where I need to be if I know where the roundabout where I'm going, right? So I've done it that way. I've done, it's all about. It does have a little bit to do with imagination in a way. And at first, somebody that does remote viewing that may see things in their mind's eye, they may think that they are just imagining things. And when you start telling people about your imaginations and they start lining up with what somebody's house looks like, where stuff's positioned, like you can go on my channel, the Luminary Luna Beams. So the only one I have right now besides Lights at Midnight that I host with Emily, the Fine Art Medium, but my personal channel. And one of the last two is it talks about skeptic. I remote viewed a skeptic's house. He's a really sweet guy. That's just my catchy title. I got to meet him at Henry River Mills, which again is coming out by Saturday, and I'm really wanting to put it on my new channel. I'm still like, anyways, but yeah, it's crazy. I remote viewed his house. It comes in as like, just images. So the way that you use tools, you can use hold crystals to amplify it and all that kind of stuff. Do I particularly? Not really anymore. I just light a candle before I channel.
I think it's just like I don't try to do it. I just do it.
Yeah.
Like spirit just puts me there.
Yeah.
I think it comes along with clairvoyance and just what if you need that gift to do that particular thing. So like you need remote viewing to go in people's houses and stuff. Like I need remote viewing to go to like areas. So I think it depends on what you need to use it for. Is if you're going to be able to have that gift. But it's like you can work on it. Again, there's all kinds of YouTube videos and meditations and stuff you can work on it with. But I think it has a lot to do with the gift you're supposed to have, and like you can do like exercise and stuff. Like there's people that teach that. So I was going to answer this.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Well, it's okay. Because I was always taught that water signs are natural mediums. That's why Pisces are so like they're supposed to be like they're really, really
the flow.
Yeah, so that's them. They're not. So I'll put it like this: this is what I was taught like years ago when this is the only thing I remember from my first astrology classes, like because I can relate it. So it's literally the only thing I remember. So water signs are natural mediums. Fire signs are psychics, like really strong psychics, like they can see into the future, like they're supposed to be really fiery psychics. Air signs, we pluck shit out of the air. And earth signs were natural healers.
Yeah.
So, doesn't mean I can't have other gifts with it, but that's just
that's the rule of thumb.
Yeah, that's
the but then you have to go into that chart and look at a lot of other things.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can take your sun sign and be like, I'm a Gemini, right? So that makes me air sign. So I'm plucking stuff out of the air, right? And I do that, but it doesn't explain everything else and the placements and when it happens and why it happens and what time. It gets really in depth, but that is a great rule of thumb. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a rule that I was taught with like the astrologist that I
same 100%. That's exactly how I was taught too, and just reinforcing it. That's a great way to explain it.
Do you see another question? Well, am I like way up here? I'm looking for another question.
Hi, Nico. Animals, yeah, she can tune into animals. She's trying
They're
to get
past.
me to do animals too, but I just haven't got
They're
into
easy. I
that
mean,
yet.
they're just they're just like they have a spirit just like us. They come the same way. Like they will literally communicate the same way.
You're
E-
welcome, Jude. Anytime. We love
You
doing it. We love y'all and thank y'all.
if you can connect to if you can connect to spirit, you can connect to animals on the other
Mhm.
side. Like I can't read my animal's mind here, but I can
I
connect it.
actually do a little bit. Well, I can't prove it. That's the only thing with animals. I can't prove it. I feel like I telepathically communicate with my animals. I do feel that way. I get
Well,
impressions about their needs and stuff. But as far as like while they're here, I just haven't tried to do any mediumship. I'm sure I could, but it's not. I don't want to sound mean when I say this because I don't mean it that way. It's just not where my heart's at right now. Like what I want, maybe as I get
I
older
love
and
it. It's so much
yeah,
easier than humans.
I
It's like
bet.
it's easier to connect to animals than it is humans, and I think it's because they
Yeah.
don't have all the stuff that humans have, but they're like so easy to communicate with and they don't drain you. It's like it's so much fun.
Yeah. And it's like I can get past life information if I try, but I don't, my heart's not into it. Like I focus on other things and it's like Reiki. Like I know one day I will do Reiki like that, but that's for later in life. I already know that Spirit Son showed me. I have things I have to do now. That's kind of where my mindset's at.
I was trying to get her to connect with a couple of my animals because I can't connect to my own like my own loved ones and my own animals and stuff.
I'm going to try. I'm going to seriously try, but if I
We're here for
fail, we're not
Barlow.
posting it everywhere. I don't care. You learn
Yeah.
from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell y'all something funny. Always listen to your guides. Always listen to your spirit guides and your first gut instinct because I had it happen. I had it happen for the first time. I'm sitting here, this guy's messaging me about some stuff. I can't tell y'all too much, but he did message me about it and I thought he was clowning me. I thought he was clowning me because the person that he wanted to talk to, I'm like, they're not passed away. But I started second, I was sweating. I was second guessing myself and something was off. I've never had this happen. And I was like, I answered the phone and I'm like terrified at this point that I'm getting ready to bomb this reading. And I'm like, so did the person pass away of chest pains? And they're like, oh no, they're alive. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Because, oh my God, I was like, that makes so much sense. And I'm like, look, I don't do these types of readings, but I'm going to do it for you. Let's fly, homeboy. We got this. And I rolled it out and I did my job, you know. But the stuff, I was getting stuff about being alive. And that's when you're supposed to listen to your spirit guides because I knew for a fact that this person, I knew when he messaged me 2 weeks ago before he even booked the appointment, this was going to happen. And why didn't I listen to myself? So we both had a good laugh.
Oh, I've had that happen before, and it's like
Yeah.
they'll show me a picture, and I'll like trying to connect. I'm like, wait, is this person alive? Like, why are you
Yeah.
sitting? Like, you got to tell me when, because sometimes it's hard to tell. Like, even in like I hate it because even in cases, it's hard to tell sometimes because they can be really drugged and seem like they're not here, and so it's like really tough. That's why I want to bring in astrology sometimes because but I have had runaway cases where it's like, okay, I see them running away, and so then I understand, or I you know I'm I can kind of tell the difference, but it's not like there hasn't been times where I haven't done the same thing.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes because sometimes our soul's on the other side too, so it's
Yeah.
you know
And Geminis are air signs. They're
yeah, and
air
that's why
element.
we connect like we do, and like why we're
Hmm.
also like all over the place most of the time.
Yep. So that's why we make our lists and check them
I get
twice.
I get along with female Geminis, but males it's like hell away.
I don't really know very many male Geminis. Fortunately, I've
My
never
son's
dated
dad is
one.
one.
I was in love with one at one point and it would have never worked out, but that was about it.
Put it like this: my son's dad was one, and then I used to work and waitress at a strip club when I was younger, and all of the managers were Gemini, and I could tell a Gemini from a mile away at that point. I was like, "Yep, you're definitely Gemini," because they're all flirts.
Yeah.
A huge flirt.
There's a charismatic energy. But as much as Geminis are on the outside, like charismatic, we can very much come home and be stone faced killers and go to bed and leave everybody else alone. So we're not always like that.
You be two people because, like I said, my son's dad was like, sometimes he's the nicest person, other times he's a total, you know what, like you never know which one you're gonna get with him. So yeah.
The Skittles taste the rainbow.
And I'm like, so glad you got stuck where you're at now.
Yeah. I'm a Cancer moon, Cancer rising. So
Your mommy. Mother
yeah.
figure.
I'm mom everybody. I'm mama. People come to me for advice. I'm mama. Like until people saw me online, they talked to me, like my voice, they didn't realize how old I was. And that's not me bragging. It's like I've been told I have a seasoned voice or I don't sound my age. And I've always just had it like that. And it's an old soul type thing, you know.
Yeah. Well, like in Leo, like Lizzie's my best friend. She's a Leo. My grandma was a Leo. Like I get along great with female Leos, but the males like are always attracted to me, but I'm not attracted to them. It's more like a friendship thing.
Yeah.
And there was one, and there's like always two sides to like the signs I've noticed. So like you can either be like for instance, Taurus, like we're talking about Taurus, like you can have the really vain Taurus or you can have the earthy Taurus. Like I've known a vain Taurus. I haven't known an earthy one. And I've, you know, so there's the two sides to that too. Yeah, Taurus is earth, but like I said, you can have like a real earthy Taurus, like hippie-ish earthy, or then you can have the really vain one that's like really materialistic and stuff like that. You know, it's kind of like that with every sign. And like I've had a Leo that was really egotistical, prideful, like very like not a piece of dog hair, you know, like that kind of Leo. And then I have my friend that's like, bring all the dogs in you want, and
Yeah.
you know, we're like fun loving. So there's like, yeah, there's a different side to each, which I'm learning. Like, you know,
there is, and it's a lot to learn. Like astrology's lifelong. So I got a question. Maybe I'm just way far up. I am.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah. Have we ever banned ourselves from certain powers?
I don't get that. I'm like, bring on the powers. Bring them on.
Yeah.
That's how I am, though. I'm weird. Like, I want everything.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way. I'm everything in moderation. I've learned how to hone this in and bask in it. And it's not, I don't like to call it powers. I like to call it, honestly, gifts. Some people like to call it abilities, but I want to do everything. I used to have that like drive to do everything. And it's like I can in a way, but I banned myself from doing anything. It's ethic policy, doing anything with my abilities that is malicious. Because the one thing about it is when you have abilities like this or gifts like this, you can use them for bad purposes. And that can go with like certain practices. Like I used to be a very angry person. And even though I'm not a type of person to like want to be violent or hurt people, there's been times I've had to protect myself. And I have that, like I had to let go of this. I had inner rage, like, and it had part to do with my attachment. So like from the paranormal. So yes, I have banned myself from doing any of this work out of spite. Because if I did it, when I do that, it is not good.
No.
So I banned myself from that because it hurts me, it hurts the person, it hurts myself, it hurts the whole situation, it hurts my karma. So you know, it's different. Like if you had to get into something, somebody, you had to protect yourself, somebody coming in your home or something like that, you know, it's not saying I'd use my powers. There's nothing. I'm not 11. Okay. I can't stop nobody like that, but I do have the power of persuasion. I do have the power of persuasion, and I have been able to persuade people in like situations to talk them down. Does that make sense? And I will never, ever, ever, ever use that for wrong purposes. And the way that you can tell when you're doing stuff that's malicious and nasty and stuff like that, your powers or your gifts will never open up fully. If you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you will never hit your mark, ever, ever, ever. So that's where it comes in, clearing out all that debris. So that's
And
what
being humble.
brutally honest. No, I mean,
And being humble. The more humble you are,
yeah,
it's like the stronger your gifts and the more you'll be gifted with things. But
yes.
I mean, I can't say I haven't thought about doing a voodoo doll or two.
Yeah, you'll get angry and think about like, I wish I could, and then you stop yourself. That's
No,
what I
I've
do
thought about it.
personally.
I've looked at voodoo dolls. I'd like to run over some voodoo dolls. But then it's like and me and Lizzie have joked about that because they have them on Temu, and I'm like, I'm gonna go put this voodoo doll under my truck and roll it over. But out of seriousness, I'm worried about the blowback. Like, I don't want the blowback of that. That's the only thing
Yeah.
that's kept me from doing it is the blowback.
Yeah, because I don't want the blowback either. So that's the thing. If you're doing this, if you find mediums or people online, bad things start to happen sometimes to good people. Don't get me wrong, that's part of the struggle, right? But like when certain people are doing dark things and they just keep getting better and better and better and better, doing stuff in the dark always comes with a price. Doing stuff in the light, they never ask for anything in return. That's a good rule of thumb. Okay. About to have to get my butt off here. But yeah, I mean, what I said is very vulnerable, right? It can be taken certain ways, but that's just me being brutally honest. Like I keep myself from, I've never been that way. I was raised around people that were malicious. I was raised around people that lied and cheated and stole, and it's just never been my thing. I've always been uh, more of the not superhero complex, but like the Batman complex versus the Joker. Even though I'm drawn to the Joker complex, like I like that kind of stuff because like I listen, well, not as much anymore, but I still do. I still listen to like rock music, heavy metal sometimes. Like I like to get and do mosh pits and stuff when I was younger. So I have a scar right here, but that's another story for another day. I love doing stuff like that. I loved boxing and all that kind of stuff. That comes from a different place. Long line of people in the military that came home, actually, for me. Amen. Don't make deals with the devil. Yep. Because that's what happens when you make deals with the devil. You can get up really fast and everything can go great. And that's the perspective, and then it can just be whoop, drug right out from underneath you. Working in the light is the long game, but it works out in the end.
Yeah.
Always does. But yeah, let's see. I think I'm going to hop off here. It's been 2 hours and 30 minutes. I got a few things I got left to do tonight. Rochelle, do we have any final things we need to say? I don't know if we've covered everything. We've answered questions.
Gone off topic 500 times.
Yeah. Well, the final thing I want to say is I'm getting ready to check my messages. Thank you to everybody that helped out tonight. I'm going to get like a little list together, and I'm going to do something. It does. If you don't want, I might put like a little list of everybody's name on video. If you don't want your name mentioned, just message me. Because I would like to do like a thank you for support on the video that comes from all this. But again, just remember the money's going towards a car to get to Kentucky to help my friend or our friend Beth. And while I'm there, I was able to crowd a bunch of people together and we're going to Bobby Mackey. So some way, shape, or form, if you sent a donation and you want to remain anonymous, just message me on DMs. I figured that would be the easiest way to do it. And I certainly appreciate y'all. I'm sorry I got emotional tonight, but it's something really special to me to be able to go meet this woman because she's been very ill. I'll put it to you that way. That's all I'm going to say. She's been very sick. So thank y'all.
I gotta find me somebody to investigate with out here. I'm always going by myself. I want to go to like Hotel Congress out here.
Do it. I know it sucks you're so far away.
And it's $98. Like I can go there, like I can take care of my dogs and go there and like stay for so many hours and then I have to leave. But like I can go like at midnight, and stay the night and do my investigation and come back. But I want to go by myself. Like I don't got nobody.
I
to
wish
go
I
with
could.
Me, I know. I'm like
manifesting.
trying to talk my son into like if he comes out here, I have to hit the air conditioner fixed for his room before he can come out. But if he comes, like I wanted to go with me because he's gifted and he's more open-minded. So I would love to, but I don't mind going to like Tombstone by myself, but staying in a haunted hotel overnight by myself, I
Yeah.
just would rather have someone with, not that I'm scared, I just would rather have someone with me. I mean, I can
I
have
know.
everybody live and then I wouldn't be scared, but
Yeah, but it's you want to have a friend to go with you.
yeah,
I don't blame you. I'd go, girl, if I could. We wouldn't. How many mile guesstimate are you away from like the West Coast, like the coast?
a long way.
Like 500
I'm
miles,
like all
700
the way
miles?
across. I'm all the way across the world. Let's see. Where are you at again?
I
Pennsylvania.
am in the triad of North Carolina. So central North Carolina.
I will Google it. How far?
I think it's like 2,600 miles we're apart.
I know we're trying to get Lizzie here.
That would be amazing.
I know, but 2,076 miles.
Okay. Because I've done it. I'm going to do it again, y'all. I'm saying I've got a lot of
30
plans.
hours.
Yep. I got
Why
a
can't
lot
you
of
just drive?
plans, classes coming. Like I'm going to be working hard for manifesting. There's going to be benefits all the way around. I'm going to be teaching and making journals, and I'm going to do it. I'm done. It's over
We could
with.
just fly it. We could just fly you here.
I'm not getting on a plane.
Oh, come on. You know how things work. Meant to be, meant to be. Don't be baby.
I'll drive
30 hours?
smoking and be like, ma'am, you cannot have that here on this plane. Just kidding. I'm just
Yo,
kidding.
just take a gummy before you get on the plane and then you're good.
Yeah, ma'am, you got to get off the
I was
plane.
taking like a sleeping or like an anxiety pill and it's just like you sleep away.
That's good, Tracy. And yes, have a great night, Maggie. And KY Gal, I'll be there in June with Down South Supernatural and some other folks. And Connie, I swear I'm planning a West Coast trip. If I'm manifesting so hard right now, and things that are happening that I never thought was possible are happening, and I'm riding this cosmic wave. Y'all can too. You can too. Shoot for your dreams. Don't shoot yourself in the foot before, you even get started, because anything's possible. Anything's possible that you work hard and put your mind to.
You know what I think would be a good live? And we could either do it we could either do it on our channel or their channel, but we could have the paranormal, all of us together on one
Yeah.
thing. That would be kind of cool.
You can join us.
That could get more subs too.
Yeah, join Down South Supernatural. We can they can either join us here or we can join them on one of they go live every Wednesday. So we'll work something out. You hear that?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Riley?
That would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe we can do it after we get back from the trip too, or maybe we can do it before, but
whenever you
that
guys
sounds fun.
have availability, because guess what? My schedule's getting better. So
yay, I'm glad you're getting some rest.
Well, I still am going to be working my butt off, so it's not really rest because I still got
survive. I get that. I call rest these days when I switch from one project to another. When I'm editing videos, that's rest. When I'm editing content, I'm resting. But this is like active.
I really want to like cut off some of our live last week, like when you ended up coming on, because that was some crazy stuff. Like the responses and stuff we were getting was absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, I've been seeing this man for a while, and it's crazy because there was a lot of validations in that. And when I come on, right before I even came on, it started. Then I come on, and it didn't like me there.
It's like you can leave.
You know what I'm hearing in my head? I'm hearing that noise like the out west. Like the tumbleweeds blowing, like drawing our guns, it's like this, like the cowboys, or shootouts or whatever. That's what I was hearing in my head.
Earlier today, I started singing I've been working on the railroad.
Oh, yeah, he's around.
Where'd that come from? My balls haven't been going off, though, so it's kind of boring.
That's what she said. Sorry. It's time for me to go. I gotta go.
Help. I know. I don't think this is gonna work, dude. I just don't. I mean, maybe in a haunted place, but I don't know if it's really gonna work for us on live. So we'll have to see. Like, they have to touch this place right here. Oh no, I guess you can touch anywhere.
Rochelle, if I get the time, because this weekend I'm not booking anything unless something comes up that I feel like I'm drawn to book. I'm not booking but Friday and Monday for anything because I've got to work on some stuff this weekend. But one thing that I will do, I'll go in and I'll cut out. I'll get us a video together for that so we can put it on your stuff.
Oh, I was gonna do it. I just haven't done it. I gotta clean some room off so I can download the live.
Yeah, I've got plenty of room, and I do it all the time. I'll do it, and I'll put it in our shared drive. That way, all you have to do is upload it. It won't take me long because I do that kind of stuff all the time.
That came in, like
you tell me,
like responses. Like it was like they were having a conversation with us, and it was like literally answering us before we said anything. It was
Yes, it was. And you just tell me, like, you tell me, like, if you go through the video, if you want to help me, and we can talk about this later, but if you want to help me, like, with some timestamps or something, like what you want to put in, just give me the timestamps and, like, how long, and then we'll figure it out. What I'm saying is I'll help you. That's a long-ass live.
Yeah, it's a 7-hour live, so I'm going to have to, like, go through it and just, like, I don't even know. So
I'll take the 2 hours that I was on there and I can help you pull. And if you tell me what else you want to pull, I'll pull it for you. But guys, I love y'all so much. Thank you very much. I've got to tinky and take care of some things and I'll get back to my messages because I've seen a few messages fly through here. Thank you, Rochelle, as always, for having me here. It's always fun. Even though we both have a tad of ADD and cat butts and stuff, we still get her done, don't we?
Yep.
And kids running about, opening doors. So anyways, good. Much love and light. I'll talk to y'all later.
Bye, guys.
Peace.